Welcome old and new, though most certainly new considering you're indeed watching my first video. Let's start off with introductions. Many people call me Lem. I'll use the title of Mr. Lem, Private Eye, here on out. Charmed, I'm sure. I'm a 23-year-old cinematography enthusiast, aspirant screenwriter, and general movie guy. I'm glad you decided to join me in this shindig, and I hope you stick around for however long you find my content to strike your fancy. It's a pleasure to have you here, whether you agree or disagree on what opinions I'll pull. I'll be doing analysis videos like this one, attempting to go into deeper study of movies, TV show, and general media that brings a story, or at least tries its damnedest to do so. I am to try and keep myself unbiased and free from any form of any hang-ups, bias, and general bad blood I might have with the media, though nobody's immune to bias as a whole. Now that I'm out of your way, now to the topic of the video. I want to start my channel on something a little more broad-stroke by its popularity, theme, fanbase, and generally divisive nature across the internet. And seeing my 50s charm striking you now, I know just where to start fine and dandy. Hazbin Hotel is a pilot-turned-show by an indie now franchise studio known as Glitch Horse Productions, under one Vivian Madrano, colloquially known as Vipsy-Pop. The series resides mainly around the slums in Hell, where sinners live in chaos and anarchy while angels above them host yearly exterminations in order to quell their growing power and any form of ideas of resistance. However, if you spent any such time on the internet, or have at least one neurodivergent friend, you'll most likely have heard of it, singing its praises or calling it the worst thing since canned turkey. Going forward though, I'll issue a spoiler warning for any viewers actually plan to give it a watch. You've been warned. Now scram. Whether you've seen it before or actually don't give a damn at all, let's kick things off from square one. Hazbin Hotel is one of the most divisive shows on the internet even to this day. Like I mentioned, most friend circles either have a stance of loving the show or hating it outright. For myself, I'm neither. The show ain't my bread and butter. Don't hate the product, nor do I love what it is or has turned itself into. I also don't want to spend time hemming and hawing it for having absolutely nothing for content inside of it. It's a bold-faced lie. Hazbin Hotel is a show that has a lot of potential by nature. The characters, world, and plot all have a very rich series of directions it could go, and a lot of potential to make a fleshed-out world that can pop out at you. Unfortunately, the writing team seems to have taken absolutely none of it, in favor of digging a grave with one arm and taking a dirt nap. The characters, albeit interesting, feel, mostly, generic and almost like parodies of themselves. Some obvious suspects come to mind as we speak. The human feels afraid, scared to let a quiet moment simmer or a subtle remark slide. The character designs, albeit over-designed to hell, get it slick, are incredibly well animated and crafted with a clear passion within it. The art style is sleek, smooth, and almost entrancing to watch at times. The world building, however, is dreadful, which pains me to say with a rich environment to work from, and the overarching themes capped out from it. However, I don't intend to call it irredeemable, especially considering its core theme I mentioned. There are some good notes in this show. The plot, however, is jumbled, frenetic, and disorganized, and everything simultaneously feels as though it's moving far too quickly without accomplishing much at all until the final few minutes for any given episode, unless there was a musical number to kickstart the plot like a rust bucket jalopy. The theme of exploring redemption and evil on conceptual level is a box job of potential you could do anything and everything with, both in the perspective of the main character and any subsidiary characters alongside it. I also think the music is a rocket, composed brilliantly and blending in well with the animation, moving in harmony together to make a show-stopper dance of audio-visual beauty. Many people blame the unfortunate turnout of the plot and pacing on the dreaded shysters and hatchet men from old Papa Amazon, specifically Prime Video, the streaming service that bought the rights to Hazbin Hotel. They harp on that since it was restricted to an 8-episode, 20-odd minute format without the padding of a second season to cushion with, the show had to make large restrictions in order to fit the deadlines and constraints given to them. Now that is a fine argument to bring up, because it is a true point. In isolation, do I think that the show would be better without the needless hamstringing of Amazon? Absolutely. However, most times this is where that argument would call curtains. I intend to bring more light to it. You hear this sentiment often. Arcane Season 2, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, and Hazbin Hotel being the most commonly noted examples. They have this same constrained issue that made them all into media that, while some people rightfully love, didn't live up to as good of an expectation as it could have. But why do we always excuse this as a reason for why it couldn't be at least serviceable regardless? We like to shake our fists at the evil blackheart corporations that bring the boot down on our favorite media, and I speak as someone who does the same as well. We all know that corporate hands love to chase the dragon of ever-increasing profits forever until they burn themselves out like a dime store candlewick. But the writing teams, the creatives, the people still in charge of the project's development, are still in charge of this development. They're in a much tighter working period, sure. And while sympathetic and in some cases cruelly put, I don't care to see it as an excuse to throw all hope to the wind and settle for subpar. True talent, to me, comes within conditions where one must find their way through limitations like these. Whether it be time, budget, or length, these constraints are not an excuse to throw your hands up and simply hang your head and bitter yourself on the external forces which put you here. A writer of substance and true skill would be at the very least able to produce something true, to push through the restrictions given to them while making something that fits the limitations while still being a masterwork of storytelling. While you may not be able to make the exact masterpiece you envisioned for your project, you should still know well that you have the ability to make your project shine by means of its writing, characters, and world, if nothing else. Granted, for something like Security Breach, a game is a much different development process than a show. But no matter the medium, you should never have an excuse for bad writing and bad world building. It simply doesn't work as a catch-all reason to accept things as they are. Creativity comes from even the darkest of places. You need only search for the light. With that being said, back to the critique. I'll be moving through the list of factors, aspects, and plot points to make the show up, as well as the world building it presents to us. I'll go through each segment in detail, explain my thoughts on every single part of it, then I'll attempt to provide my own concept for how something like this could be made better, at least more serviceable. You're welcome to agree, disagree, or present your own ideas and thoughts as you please, and I'd be happy to see any comments below. Don't fly off the rails. Remember, you lose any debate, you lash out and call names in. Sometime after this video, I'll be working with my editor, Dino, to make a rewrite of the plot itself, to make it work better in the long run, so keep an eye out for that. Now, I know the second season will be coming out sometime soon, so you probably need to give me some headway for the rewrite a little. I also want to clarify that no, I will not be referencing the original YouTube pilot for everything but superficial points, nor will I any of Madrano's tweets, interviews, or press releases. This show should stand on its own merits and its own presented lore, writing, and world building. The story shouldn't need you to string you along with the external media and author intervention before you can watch it and enjoy it. That's a terrible process and should never be encouraged. But it all said, sit back, gather a blanket or a beverage, and let's take a little investigation into the infernal world of Hazbin Hotel. Enjoy! Oh no! Boiling down the plot of Hazbin Hotel is simple in summary, but when you get down to the specifics, there's some matters both interesting and awkward to discuss. Charlie Morningstar tries and generally struggles with setting up a hotel made to redeem the many sinners of hell itself, focused on the premise that anyone can be redeemed should they try their best and repent for their mistakes. She has the assistance of Vaggie, her lover and secretly a fallen angel. Angel Dust, a loudmouth and promiscuous sex worker, and Mafioso, is that what they are? Shit, could have fooled me. Husker, a cynical and pessimistic barkeeper with a penchant for gambling and some debts in high places. Nifty, a living marketable plushie, and Alistair, a re-emerging demon lord with dark secrets and a facade of 1920s charisma.
Hey, that's what I do.
However, trouble brews as the angelic exterminations that occur yearly have now been shifted to 6 months. Some hijinks ensue. Charlie attempts to redeem a specific sinner by name, Serpentius, arguably the best character of the lot, and prove the leagues of heaven that sinners can be redeemed for good. Ultimately, however, this doesn't work because bureaucracy, I suppose, and they'll have to band together to fight off the merciless hordes of angels. It's a fairly simple rendition, but one I consider to at least give you the basest of gists of what we're dealing with here. On paper, the concept is actually quite rich. There's a lot of storytelling to do, plot to pull off, and secrets to tip your mitt to. Does it work out? Well, that's the tricky business, because the answer is a resounding meh. I'm not going to pretend the show is the devil itself, even if I made the devil a 5'6" white boy. But I can confirm to you that I understand people's enmity to it. The stakes make no sense. We got nothing to read from and even less to pull through as a cohesive series of arcs. That ain't even mentioning the character arcs that feel more rushed than a dine and dash at a Waffle House. But you know how it'll go. I'll pull the curtain back, take you through the episodes, and we'll do a brief recap of what's right and wrong about what we're given. Let's take a peek. From the beginning, we're giving the opening narration and the exposition dump. Something not necessarily bad by nature. Hell, we know Star Wars to do it. We know Souls-likes to give us a brief run over the lore, so we're not swinging our swords at the nearest wall for 6.5 hours. And in this instance, it's not exactly awful neither. I personally think it's a little overt and simple, but that can be done well if there's a bit of unreliable narration. Sometimes it can also be done if it alludes to other different secrets and mysteries. We'll see how well that plays out. Charlie and Vaggie start jib-jabbing about hopes and dreams that I've heard people had, before we move to a cheap television commercial afterwards, very overtly shaking you by the ankles about what this place is, what it does, and what goes on with the characters. Now, I do think that commercial's a neat little way to make Alistair's introduction work. A background voice that seems almost disjointed from the other characters and seems to find some strange joy in their struggles and tribulations. It fits his style somewhat, and having it behind the camera works nicely here. However, I'm led to some issues that become apparent here and in the first musical number of the bunch, Happy Day in Hell, where Charlie expresses how great and hallelujah it'll be to get a hotel off the rocks and into Whiskey Neat. But I want to ask a different question. What innocence do we have in hell aside from the main characters? Thinking no peace, no sunshine, definitely no niceties around the place. Look at this guy. He's on so much crack that he ought to be an OSHA violation. What is hell? Is it actually redeemable? If so, show it to us. You don't gotta do it immediately and overtly, but we don't get shit about the world being anything worth saving outside of a handful of gays. This might seem more like a world-building issue, and you'd be a dead spit on that. But the world-building issue affects the plot itself, so in it goes. Anyhow, after some music, we get a meeting with Adam, your local frat boy and divine equivalent of a trust-filled kid. And, okay, can we calm the fuck down about the dicks? Look, I get the idea of making a frat boy type villain a vulgar one. Makes sense, fits in, all that jazz, but God's sake, man, beat the dead horse too much and ain't gonna fit in the glue factory. Just cut a few lines here and there and replace it with some funny but interesting debate. Moving on, we eventually get our second number, Hell is Forever. Guys will see this and say hell yeah, and as a guy, I get it. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah!
From this, we find out the angelic incursion's going down in 6 months rather than a year. It's a good way to set up the rest of the season, keeps a ticking clock in our heads, and makes us more invested with the threat that's constantly hanging over your skull. I just hope they'll make sure to keep it going. While all this has been panning out, the gang have been spending some time trying to make a dive out of a dive. Essentially failing hard to make a commercial of this hotel happen. I like this gag with Nifty, by the way. It's a cute one.
Your line is, we have the cleanest rooms, okay?
Got it! I'm ready!
Action.
Not as much a fan of Angel Dust and Huskers go. Again, Angel's a sex worker and all, but this feels like a patsy's interpretation of a hooker. It's way too much. You can have someone promiscuous, don't get me wrong, but the way he acts feels like a sketch character. Anyways, Baggy gets desperate and calls on Alistair to make a commercial, the deal being he never has to go on this TV bullshit again. Don't mind the sentiment here, honestly. It's a good way to lord over that he's the big fish here. Also gives him a little personality, too. Just cut the spooky mug, yeah? Good scary characters know when to start and when to stop. Charlie comes back, everyone's all done up, and the commercial is cut off by a news broadcast on the A plot again. Great, not like I wanted to give a fuck about all the B plot of any of that. Keep in mind this shit has no relevance or consequences ever again. It's fucking piss weak for what can actually fare as a good college try and an upstart. Afterwards, we get the reason why the shindig's getting pumped up. As Adam and a side piece, Loot. They discuss plans. Loot suggests immediately killing them all, and Adam says it's too risky if the demons catch it on. The fuck do you mean, you dick-addle beluga? Catch on to what? The angel's dead and you got the Vatican on your side. You can go in now, and you're gonna be able to catch on for anything, because they'll be bumping them all off the radar. But they mention that once the date rolls around, they'll have them all for breakfast. End episode 1. Problems already arise. This whole B-plot is useless, and now the A-plot hinges on a ticking clock that really don't make sense at all. Instead of Adam being worried about the demons catching on, give him a restraint from the Seraphim that get introduced later on. It'd introduce him as a player earlier on, and also give Adam an actual real reason to keep restrained. Likewise, instead of the B-plot amounting to nothing, have it reel in a bunch of nobodies. Spend an episode juggling them, and when they either get killed or turn into bombs, wrestle with that concept. Sure, the Bleeding Heart Charlie wouldn't love seeing that happen in the walls. Regardless, the episode isn't trash. There's stuff to enjoy and a plot that can work, given what we got. Let's jump to the second episode, The Iron's Hot.
But I just know that you need to go get it, and then hopefully we can go to Hoover Dam together. I'll take you and get you a hot dog. We'll go.
Episode 2 kicks off reeling about the shit from last episode, in case you forgot for some fucking reason. Some talk ensues, the gang come to the idea of getting sinners desperate enough to change to come on down to Aspen for a nice change of pace. Good idea, if they actually do something with the goddamn idea they come up with. No, this means absolute shit comparing. Instead, some mug called Serpentius, again, somehow the best character, busts down a wall waiting for Alistair so they can tussle. Alistair don't care, they make way to start the show, and we cut off. The V's get their introduction, starting with Vox. And in isolation, I like your stick. They introduce him well enough in isolation to come off as the head honcho innovator, capitalist spitfire the show wants him to be. He's charming, he's got a sense of 80s salesmanship going on, and the hypno thing seems pretty nifty, especially considering he's got the whole town dancing lockstep to his tune. Too bad they do fuck all with it at all in this goddamn show. Seriously, not a damn thing. We then move on to Velvet, the least relevant of the three, which is a shame because I like her moxie. She's got a kind of confidence I can get behind and seems the influence is shtick. In this, she says something interesting though, and while I ain't gonna lift the blinds yet, I want you to put in a pin in it for later.
He tore up my best motto, and you know the show can't wait for that unlucky bitch to pull herself back together.
Last up is Valentino, and though I do like his idea and concept, they don't really pull him the intimidating sort in this episode. He talks and acts more like a petulant brat that gets manipulated way too easy by Vox, even though his character gets far better come episode 4. I think it'd have been better to either keep him in his own little shroud or have him give a touch of sway to balance the scales. Anyhow, Val tells Vox Alistair's back in town, and there's clearly some kind of rivalry going on down there, leading to probably the best song of the bunch, Stayed Calm. Pushing aside the music though, there's two issues that pop in here. One, Vox loses hard at the end of it. No contest. Being the big league daddy-o of the television agency, you'd think you'd ought to have at least an even footing. Keep him on solid ground, otherwise this Alistair's just gonna look like a fool for not taking the whole game up. However, secondly, once again, this has nothing to do with Jack. After this song hits the close, nothing changes. All that's gained is that Vox knows Alistair's back and brooding as ever, which he knows before the goddamn song. You could argue that he knows he's a threat, but again, judging that reaction, we're pretty much knowing this already. It also introduces the idea that A, Alistair almost beat him last time they fought, and V, Vox asks him to join up with the V's. I guess he needed a new name. Valister? Fuck it, sure, good enough. Still, not really enough to bank a song around. Great track, though. Back to business on the other end. After Alistair wins his fight with Pentious and the song plays out, he shows back up in hat in hands, acting coy. Looking to make some wrong things right. Of course, we all know that's a lie, but look at him. Come on, can I lie to you? For character's sake, there's some shit to say here that I like about Pentious, but we'll cut the vine once we reach it. Pentious and Charlie hit it off our high school buddies, and leaves Angel Dust feeling all sad and left down in blue ball over not being the favorite boy. I get the setup, but this is a crock of shit. Angel Dust didn't try a damn lick in this whole charade, and he clearly didn't give a damn until now. The idea of him immediately getting the sad feels when someone else new is here just comes off as childish. Though I do like the voicemail scene. The tossing and turning mixed with the voicemails coming through and clashing, capped off with the echoing of the cooing yet cutting words coming down like a hammer. It does a damn good job. But I feel like they should have just cut Valentino's intro in episode 2 and replaced it with this. He feels like a real knife here. Anyhow, as he goes down to drink his sorrows with a cheap Merlot, he stumbles across Pentious placing a camera? If this was to track Alistair, ain't the guy immune to that? We see it happen in episode fucking 1, for God's sake. At least go for a mic, Snakey. Whatever, they get in a punch-up, Pentious uses a move he'll never use again the whole show, and the lesbians come out to play. Man, wait, that sounded fucked up, actually. Pentious gets outed pretty quick and tries extraction by the V's. The hell are they gonna do? Cram an Ellis airship into the hotel? Oh shit, look, someone already did that. Vox makes like Black Ops sniper mains and tells Pentious to stick his toothpicks in the nearest eyes. He lies down waiting to be done in Sirius style. Leads to the track Sorry. Does his job, makes Pentious regret his life decisions and join the good guys again. Plot-wise, it works out enough and it gives Charlie a tiny bit of character in it too, though I think they could have used a little bit more. Oh, right, and the post-credit scene we didn't need where Alistair clowns on Vox more. Great, that's numero dos. You seen a partner here, Slick? We're introducing a lot of shit, and we're not really going anywhere with it directly. Think of what we accomplished here. We got Pentious in the picture, introduced the V's, and what? Nothing. I mean, knowing what I know and what you know, this episode was about 8 to 10 minutes of content doubled for nothing. And considering the runtime is running on Steam, but let's keep the train moving. Next up is number 3.
Nothing. We can't just sit here and do nothing.
This episode confuses the hell out of me. We start off by giving some look at the hotel. Pentious is all distrustful of the others, since yeah, they did try to ice him 2 seconds back. After a back and forth, while unsettlingly named her up and Carl Miller the arms dealer into the mix, they tell him to get rid of the eggs. A great way to get someone to trust you, Aggie. They don't count on us sinners, too. She gets this aid of Alistair to get rid of the eggs humanely, of course. I like this deer-eating concept Alistair's got going for him here, but something makes me wish they played him close to the chest. If his reveal was more peppered and secretive, it'd make this whole scene feel a bit more impactful. And trust me, impactful is really what they want to run for with this boy. While Alistair 86s the eggs, the gang decide they need to get some bonding done, with trust exercises of some kind. This whole scene treads water like a dog with 3 legs. Don't ask me how I know what that looks like. This whole thing is played for comedy, sure, but don't really do much for the plot aside from that. Besides Charlie saying she trusts her, oh man, good thing you ain't been shanked for that talking hell. Oh yeah, and getting Angel Dust to try suggesting his own idea. No, don't worry, surely this ain't gonna be sex, right? Surely we're gonna see what else this mug's got for ideas than sex. I swear to Christ, this show tries so hard to be edgy and subversive that it looks back around and you can set your damn watch to it. Anyways, Alistair, for some goddamn reason, takes the eggs to meet the equivalent of the popular boys of the group. We meet Zestial, which is apparently a big scary overlord guy. Don't forget that. The show will not let you fucking forget that. So that's 1, 2, 3,
4, 5.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think that was 14, yep. I'll probably take out 2 just for you to be safe, so we counted 12 fucking instances of Zestial making someone scared in the span of 1 scene. You wanna make it stick once? How about you have someone bump into him proper and drop to hands and knees, silent as a shadow? Or if he's less gentlemanly than the servers, have him do something to completely wipe the goddamn floor with them. Simple. Easy. I will say I like his design and voice though. I'll get to that sometime later in full though. I also like the eggs, surprisingly. Minion characters are so overly used and overplayed that I was worried they'd be a nightmare through the runtime, but Vivian played them loose and not too much. And they actually seemed fun as a result. If we're keeping compliments going too, the little camera glitch when Alistair looks at it is subtle, tasteful, and it works a charm. Alistair gets the eggs to guard the front and get him out of the way, but doesn't actually notice Doofus number 5 because plot, I guess. Seriously, he's right there, look at him, he's just sitting there, not menacingly. Overlord meeting starts and we see the arms dealer Carmilla in full. Side note, I don't care for how the show will only mention characters in the episode they get a show in, minus Lucifer, sorta, just feels disingenuous. However, I do like Carmilla's design here, simple but sweet. After expositioning that they are indeed overlords who are, I'm sorry.
It sounded like you said provolones.
Provolones. After expositioning that they are indeed overlords who own souls and shit, pretty sure they know that too, Carmilla, but there's a nice beat where Alistair actually gets down a peg, where Carmilla is surprised he's back but don't give 2 shakes of a tail. In isolation, I like it. You see that displeasure in him, though his smile keeps a course. However, I do got a different question. The hell did he go? I assume this is one of the 900 mystery boxes they got for season 2, but seriously, he can just walk back in and no one took his place? More on that in the next chapter though. Velvet comes in acting like a TikTok girly full of octogenarians. He's not playing nice at all, which is interesting. You think the Abesta would want to act charming, but whatever. She crashes the meeting with an angel head and says taking the fight to them would be the best course of action. Ironic, since after this, the V's do fuck all the entire goddamn show except bitching. In fact, this is her last major scene period in the entire fucking show. Anyway, Zestial's acting like an old bitch gay and knocks her down, so Velvet calls him bitch maid. Carmilla starts acting grand simp, which leads to the song Respectless. I kinda like the track itself, but plot-wise it pisses me off. The Overlords look like pussies here. I agree with Velvet. They don't even probably give any punishment to Velvet for pretty much flaming the whole lot of them. And worse off, the meeting finishes. It's done. There's nothing else discussed here. We wasted so much time code, and the most we got was the Overlords know an angel's dead, and Carmilla's probably got a say in it. No discussion, nothing. The other 2 Overlords might as well have been cardboard goddamn cutouts. Afterwards, Alistair decided to use the plot convenience egg to do some spying, and nobody else detects the egg because it has an invisibility buff or something. It's making fucking noise too. What the hell are you doing? Meanwhile, the gang trying Angel Dust's idea, and yeah, it sucks. Of course it is. Charlie almost gets roped into it out of social pleasure, which like, holy shit, how are you not dead? If we wanted a nice beat, have Charlie genuinely uncomfortable and scared. Maybe Vergi and Angel Dust can feel bad. And we can get something that isn't just sex from the guy. They decide the sex club ate the play here. Shocker. And instead decide killing people in the streets is better. Sure, I'll take it, I guess. There's a brief kind of conflict that, although unsettled, kind of works given what we know of things, but it leaves Vaggie alone and leaves it to Carmilla and Vaggie's song, whatever it takes. Carmilla's intentions confuse me here, in that she did get revealed to have killed the angel, and from that they decided the best course of action was to do nothing. What? They don't want to defend themselves or fight, but they know it's coming down harder and faster next time, so fuck it. Why not empty the magazine? Anyway, the egg tells Alistair the tea, and he's all conniving as usual about it. I like that the eggs are immune to fear, kind of endears them a little, it's funny. Meanwhile, the exercises seem to have worked out just fine, luckily, with no injuries at all for some reason. Must be some good fighters, I suppose. Charlie and Vaggie make up, and Benches even gets his eggs back, which makes this whole thing kind of feel like nothing. There's also a bedtime scene, well, kind of cute, just makes the eggs jab at the Benches about the angel killing thing. I get they spout nonsense like a tabloid, but like, you got no other questions for him when they got shifted around by Alistair? Got the credits. This episode is the worst example of killing time. Think of what we get done here. Generic, mainly off-screen character bonding, and we learn that Carmilla killed the angel, as does Alistair. That's it! Nothing else comes from this. No consequences come from it. This whole episode feels like you can skip the goddamn thing. Luckily, episode 4 is a better one, so let's delve in.
I do not have the time to deal with someone who looks like a fucking CEX worker. Dude, I swear to God, I didn't want any problem. Now get out before I put it in your keister.
This episode is probably one of my favorites, and for a pretty good reason. Don't mean there's nothing wrong with it, but just a lot less. Unfortunately, we start out with a cold open. That seems like a neat take until it turns into a porno. You know, I was really looking at the show and thinking we needed more sex. Really thinking that, you know. Anyway, some banter about the porn later. Never thought I'd say that before. Husker gives the worst exposition dump about character traits as if he's looking right at us like chumps. Seriously, he just lays it bare like a shit-ass media critic. Me, he's laying it thin like I would talk about the characters. Regardless, Angel Dust gets defensive over the porn shoot for some reason. I feel like he of all people would get this script work ain't fucking jack. There was a little snap at Husker actually does feel pretty good. I like the way it's framed, and if we got this hell of a lot earlier, we'd probably have better payoff coming for what would actually be coming, but that's for a little more later. He dashes for an emergency suit, as it was, and Vaggie gives Charlie the worst piece of advice to waltz on into the porn shoot to command authority and get Angel Dust a day off. What's up, she's going in unsupervised? Vaggie, you're sending this ditzy son of a gun alone to Porn HQ to talk to the fucking CEO of sex about laying off the midnight oil? Then again, would the Princess of not get, like, guys? Hired muscle, triggermen, that kind of thing? Whatever the case, she's here now and against Angel Dust's will. I really like his reaction to her showing up. The voice acting mixed with the expression actually sells the tension sharp as a knife. And given the chance, Dust's voice actor can actually really sell him well. But hey, Valentino crashes the party and offers Charlie a role, which is bold moves to the Princess of Hell. Seriously, he just lays it on, no stress at all. Fuck, if everyone had confidence like that, someone would have hit the nuke button ages ago.
You's a freaky ass nigga!
Scene continues, but Charlie's a fucking idiot and royally fucks just about everything over. Look, I know she's not amazing socially, but she's not dumb. Surely she knows when something's rolling, and she ain't to be touched and toyed with. I mean, for fuck's sake, woman, you literally said you were gonna stay in the way of his work. But she does, and shit catches fire, only for Val to clean up the mess. You know, if she showed me the scene and nothing else, I'd almost feel sorry for him. I mean, good thing is scum, as we find out when he asks for a word with Angel Dust. The word being a backhand and a demand to get Charlie the fuck out of his studio. Angel relents, and Val comes back out all spitfire and scorn, which makes Charlie not a happy camper. Angel Dust puts the kibosh on that shit, and they have an admittedly pretty genuine falling out between them. Genuinely speaking, besides a few small issues, I really freaking like this scene. It's funny when it wants to be, mature when it needs to be. It shows me more of the actual world besides the hotel through Angel Dust's eyes. Genuinely speaking, it might be one of my favorites. And it leads well into the song, Poison. The track's good as always, just, again, feel like it's missing something. Maybe having it show up the darker sides to sex work alongside the bright and shiny set reels, throwing up in the bathroom, getting a drink spied, strutting the alley too. Hell, even just having it start to shift and blur the colors and crazy shit as he goes deeper into drugs and alcohol. Either way, he slumps over to the bar, exhausted like a dock worker, and Husker pours him a drink. The two get into a heated conversation after Angel Dust does his classic unwanted sexual advances gambit. Husker calls him fake like I show speed reactions. Yeah, they're fake, get over it. So he crashes right on out. 3 things. I like Angel Dust crash here. It feels pretty raw and real, and string and piano just adds that tension well. However, I don't like that Husker seen as the bad guy in order to play babysitter without acknowledgement that he gets the short end of Angel's stick, as it were.
Phrasing?
He bought him a drink and tried giving advice, and all he got was rude comments and an invite to STD land. That being said, I do like Charlie not wanting to drag him right on back. Her just wanting to make sure he's safe without playing parent too much is a good sign of character. It's played a little thick, but overall I like this scene again. 2 for 2. Husker goes to the salty spittoon and Angel's hanging with some hatchet man hollering like a riot girl. However, one of the Sharkies spikes next drink in the most obvious way possible. Either this is just a par for the course in hell, or everyone except Husker drank like blinding stew for a day. Nice effect on the saturation here, by the way. Just small things. Husker swoops in for the rescue and cuts the barrels of the guns, making only one of them inert. Seriously, half of these guns could fire still. What's wrong with y'all? You stiff? Don't answer that.
Phrasing.
They stumble out and have a spat. Angel Dust says he didn't ask for any of this shit and goes to storm off, talking about how he treated him. Again, Angel, you really were the asshole in this situation. Granted, Husker wasn't a therapist either, but fuck, if I kept getting toyed with like a Raggedy Ann, I'd snap too. Husker makes the argument nobody gives a shit about how famous they are, so they can cut the act, but Angel relents, saying it's who they need to be to escape how much they hate it all. All in all, I like the discussion, minus some quirks, but it is all in character pretty tight too, so I can forgive some. Comes up kind of thick still, but I can forgive it a little with the time code. Husker decides to throw his own story into the mix, and although Keith David's voice can pull you in really well, Keith, I love you, man. I do have some questions. How do you gain and lose souls? Did Husker have a gambling problem, or did he just eat too many? Do all overlords get a deal in souls to make good? How's that gameplay? Questions aside, again, it all still feels pretty real, and it really pisses me off how sparse scenes like in this show, all things considered. It's really nice when we get them, and it just feels right. Realized potential where characters get explored and the world fleshes out bit by bit. This is what storytelling is. It's shown right here. Leads right on into Loser. That song I'm sure you've heard of somewhere or other. And yeah, it's a nice song. My issue lies not here though, rather after, or lack thereof. This is where Angel Dust and Husker's character arcs end. And that really don't sit right with me. Not much gets realized here. All that does is that they're not alone in this mess. And though that can help a fella out, it ain't a cure-all really. We needed more exploration, more insight. That could lead to a longer exploration. Something we could have had if that show had picked a lane and stuck with it. Anyways, the Sharkies freed themselves from the net after 4 fucking minutes? Christ. I kinda like the Sharks here though. Part of me wants a short film on them. Just an idea. A fight ensues, sick tricks and sicker kicks, and the episode wraps up with Angel Dust forgiving Charlie for the intrusion and saying his thanks for giving them 2 shakes. Roll credits. This episode is, like I mentioned, my favorite. It also pisses me off because it shows me what the hell the show can be and what it all could be if it just narrowed down and slowed its roll. Character exploration is genuinely good here, and leads nicely into the beginnings of development that would, assumedly, in that redemption thing we got going on. Not much plot progression is made, of course, but I don't mind. Sometimes it's good to slow the punches and explore the deeper world a little bit more. It's even more of a shame as follows up with my least favorite episode. So let's get it over with.
Won't elaborate, yeah, won't elaborate, yeah.
You know what? Fuck it, get the hat off me. We're doing it live. We kick off with everyone watching a neurotic Charlie panicking over why the hotel isn't working like it's supposed to, saying they did a lot of stuff. The angels are coming in 2 months. Wait, what? Since what fucking when? We got no indication that time was even progressing here. Now you're going to be telling me that we had 2/3 of our time cut? What the fuck were you all doing that time? And sorry, did nobody all try selling the hotel a little bit further? That commercial, that radio broadcast, none of it did anything? Yeah, we just gotta accept this, I guess. Great, fucking fantastic. So Vaggie suggests grabbing her dad, and Charlie refutes he let this shtick happen to begin with. Don't ask why, we ain't gonna know the answer ever. Was he forced? Did he have to make a hard choice? Who the fuck knows? But hey, Charlie relents because maybe he's able to get a meeting with heaven. After Husker, the exposition man does an exposition. Do you know Charlie has daddy issues? I know hard to believe, dolls, but trust me. She calls up Big Daddy Lucifer, who's a white boy now, and he's got depression, apparently. Love this dialogue, it's so good. I love how they didn't even try to make this just for gift farmers, no chance.
My daughter wants to see me. Take that, depression.
So Charlie calls, they have a back and forth, and he promises to come right over because she wants to see him. But you tell me you needed her to tell you this shit? Has she not told you before? Charlie? Whatever. They dole the place up, and Lucifer comes on down, trying desperately not to call it absolute dog shit. He also doesn't know she's gay, somehow. She called you 5 months ago. Alistair and him get into a feud for no reason at all. Seriously, it's just on site. I get the idea that later in the episode is that, Alice is trying to rage bait him by calling himself Charlie's new dad, but still, like, if Lucifer's that easy to bait out, it's no wonder you ain't her first on the contact list. Leads in a song known as Hell's Greatest Dad. I had to look that one up. This song's a mess. It also makes the cardinal sin of introducing Mimsy into the show the bane of my fucking existence. Mimsy eats this episode's runtime. About 2.5 minutes of this shit off a rip, dedicated to her, give or take. She's annoying, self-serving, and really adds jack shit to the narrative. She prattles off Alistair's backstory as his old sweetheart, but doesn't really tell us anything we don't already know or guess at due to the show's hinting. Did anyone tell the show backstory readings a fast ticket to get people not to give a damn? And for God's sake, could you turn it down with Alistair? We get it. He's great. He's spooky. He's really annoying. When you shove him so far down our throats, we get his fucking dipstick tail.
It's time I remind everyone why I am here. A reminder to all, not to mess with the radio demon. I will devour each and every one of you.
At least they're green.
At least there's lime green. You ever heard of Disney? That's how this works. Lime green means evil. Did you hear?
I can't take it anymore.
To the Wings of Redemption thing.
Can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Oh, fuck off. The Witcher blooper?
Oh, did you not watch The Boys bloopers?
I have not.
Can we take a detour Please.
Yeah, let's take an intermission.
How many hijackers? Looks like 3. The scrambled F-16s. Yeah, as we speak. But you.
You think Sergeant Homeland is a fucking cunt?
I love the idea of just like a villain walking around just fuck. Yeah.
Fuck off. That's what I was referencing.
Oh, okay. I just love the the incredulity. Just, are you fucking kidding me? You can sense the bruh in his eyes.
How do you feel about our intermission?
Yeah, I think it's well needed, especially in your case.
Hey guys, we're back. We're not watching the boys bloopers anymore.
Yeah, there was like a solid 10 minutes of our dear editor falling into insanity. Ready for
Alright,
another
let's keep
dose? Let's get into it. That leads into my least favourite scene, with Alistair and Husker. It technically does the job. Husker tells Alistair that he doesn't like Mimsy being around here. God, I fucking get what you mean, buddy. And Alistair bros it off. They have a spat, Husker hints at a bigger fish, and Alistair takes away his talking stick. And of course Husker's a scaredy cat, pun not intended, because fucking everyone is around Alistair. If instead you had the scene where Husker's actually a bit more eager to speak his mind, you can have Alistair threaten him earlier, and Husker can still be a little scared but reaffirm that he needs Husker as much as Husker needs him. Then Alistair can back down but not without a reminder. It gives Husker way more agency and character while still giving Alistair some mystery and a chance to be the big spooky man y'all want him to. God, this episode shits me. Cut to the white people. Charlie asks Lucifer to give him a hand, but he says nah because sinners are actually kind of scum, which, yeah, we don't have a dead split reason for why we should actually give a damn about these people. Aside from the name characters there isn't really any sort of nicety around the place. There's no indication people would be nice either. That leads into some loan sharks, I do like that play on words, to start mashing down the door because Mimsy's a bitch. Seriously, nobody likes this goddamn character. Side note, again, I like the sharks' designs. They're all kind of unique and I find them pretty cool. I want to see what these guys get up to. Like, come on, look at this guy. Oh, that guy. Pretty cool as hell. They start causing some chaos, and Lucifer falls a Redditor smug jack about the whole thing. Seriously, asshole. Timing? Really? Like, Charlie's world literally getting smashed to bits, and you're just over here pulling a fucking gotcha moment? Never mind, I see why they don't call you. Holy fuck. So Alistair decides it's time for more company-mandated Alistair glazing and starts laying the pipe down on these guys. Lucifer keeps being a smug asshole, and Charlie rightfully tells him he's being a faithless asshole, while the other guys watch from a table with popcorn. Fucking fantastic business. So Mimsy pops out now that the damage is done, and Alistair tells her to piss off, which is supposed to be a character moment, I think, but I mean, shit, I would have done that even if it was my best buddy too. Mimsy leaves. Charlie's still trying to get Lucifer to budge on the whole heaven thing, but he's pretty dead set about it, which leads into more than anything. The song's a good one. Charlie's got a hell of a singing voice. I think Lucifer goes around a bit too quick, maybe making him suspicious but supportive ally, maybe still wanting to support her dreams but unsure it'll work. It could still give him his stubborn options while still allowing some leeway. He relents, gives that meeting over, and Charlie and Vaggie gets themselves ready to pack their bags. Roll credits. This episode's my biggest argument to the statement people make that 8 episodes is too short a time to make something work. This is a fucking nothing episode, like 3 was. We could have had maybe, say, an episode where the gang actually try to convince Lucifer there can be progress made. Take a guy from the streets, give him a bit of care and support for a day, and see if they can make him something of a nicer soul. And just one avenue. It'd make for a decent ticking clock, give the other gang a chance to, give their hat into the ring. If you want the rivalry still, Lucifer can be a cynic while Alistair can tell him to liven up and see. Right now, though, this is another case of them introducing shit and not doing jack with it. It's the most self-serving way possible, too. Anyway, that runs us down to episode 6, though not the worst. I'll definitely be coming back to this with world-building problems. But for now, let's take a look for it, plot-wise.
And the only thing they did was fly to the top of the map and say this in the chat. I'm going to heaven!
Alright, hat's back on. We're fine. We begin this scene same as I feel like a lot of the plot-relevant scenes usually kick off. Exposition. We're going to heaven to convince heaven sinners can be redeemed. Vaggie's nervous about it, blah blah blah.
Now that might sound bad.
I hear talk on that rule where plot's gotta be dumbed down for second monitor zombies, but come on, I know shows that don't smash you over the fucking head with it. I mean, fuck, what the hell happened to Arcane? They did a damn good job with it. Angel Dust comes in complaining about Valentino being a bastard on set, and well, for about 5 seconds I like this part. He was pretty smart, and there's a hint of character that I feel should have been run back about 3 episodes ago. Anyway, that wall blows up again because a new girl shows up. Cherry Bomb. An Australian bomb thrower. No, not you. Should be more specific. You know, I was just thinking about how much we needed another character. I was scratching my arms with withdrawal here. The time code ain't thick enough. We need more guys, more marketable plushies, more pictures of Spider-Man! Anyway, she's here to peer pressure Angel Dust into committing hard drugs and hard felonies instead of resting up after a long day. Real sweetheart, of course. And Charlie seems cool with that, minus the getting sloshed part. Yes, the side characters are doing episode 3 again. We're running thin here. Portal of Heaven opens and Cherry's just, like, cool with that. Does that not, like, freak you out at all? Like, usually heaven portals mean you're fucked, right? Anyway, gang jumps in, Pentious strikes out with Jerry, and we got over the St. Peter, who looks like he belongs on a donut box about 60 years ago. He, for some reason, doesn't know about the meeting at fucking all, which is odd. Surely a doorman's supposed to know when the VIPs are coming in and why. But none of that matters, because we got the Seraphim gals to make an entrance. Weird nitpick, but they have forms they change out of for, like, no reason at all. Why not keep the other forms? I mean, not like it matters. Big Seraphim, Sarah, yep, real fucking clever, wise guys. Takes the baton while Emily, the little one, damn near pisses themselves in excitement. They seem way too eager on first glance. Does she not get training on being all prim and proper and fancy-like? Guess it don't matter all too much, because it's time for another music number. It's a short one that's supposed to show off the place upstairs, and while it technically does that, I definitely coming back to heaven later in this video because I got shit to say about it. Believe me, you ain't heard the last of it. Adam finds out the demons are running around with the dime store sneakers, and them and Loot have a quick conversation, including Sarah themselves, about this big cover-up. Sarah mentions they failed to control the demon's unrest, so Lucifer got his hand in the cake, so alright. What does that matter, really? You want to keep the game covered up, it's simple. Nobody knows about this whole extermination except Adam and Loot. Somehow, I really don't get how nobody else found this shit out yet, but sure. So, just imprison your 2 visitors on account of suspected sedition, run an investigation into efforts. Have them pull up leads, and have the extermination focus on putting them all on the ground. If you want to make it even simpler, kill them all now. Who fucking cares if it's off-timer? This is about protecting heaven, apparently, you know, who gives a shit? Anyway, Sarah says fix your shit to Adam, and we cut to Charlie and Veggie. The former gushing about heaven, and the latter sounded like an IT guy on a Monday morning. Charlie dips, and Adam strides on in immediately after. Don't know if I mentioned, but Adam can be entertaining as hell when he ain't trying to talk about dick and pussy every 3 nanoseconds. Demeanor he got kind of gels with a lot of characters, good or bad. Adam starts regaling the audience of some kind of revelation that Vaggie is actually an angel that was banished, which really ain't a surprise at all. This shit was telegraphed like a punch from an Arkham game. She turned tail apparently after she was about to spear a cannibal kid, but decided not to. Does that kid eat flesh? What's the moral implications of eating flesh in this world? Is that kid committing crimes? Wait, how the hell did the kid get into hell? Can Hellspawn, like, spawn like real kids can? What was the world? Sorry, wrong section. I feel like I'm shooting at stars in the sky here. So, Vaggie got her eye and wings skewered. Keep that in mind for later. And got exiled, only to be picked up by Charlie, who didn't see their golden blood, I guess. Sure. This leads into some kind of blackmail where Adam threatens to tell Charlie about the whole fallen exorcist thing if he doesn't help shut this redemption shit down, which, really? You considering this? Like, even if we run on an assumption you're worried about your relationship dying from it, what the fuck are you gonna look like when you turn tail against Charlie's literal dream? Charlie looked at Alistair and decided, sure, he's friendly enough. What the fuck are you gonna do to a worldview that he hasn't? Court starts, and Charlie mentions the prime candidate for a question of can a soul be redeemed, and they choose Angel Dust? Really? Him.
I can suck your dick.
You pick fucking Angel Dust to be a leading man when Sir fucking Pentious is sitting around twiddling his tail? After you took him a thing, I don't think that pathetic little shit's done anything bad since. You'd have a damn cast iron case for them. He's just the guy who does coke just to feel something. Fucking fantastic. Unfortunately, it gets worse. Charlie asks Adam what they think it takes to get into heaven, and Adam doesn't know. In fact, it's soon realized that nobody fucking knows how people get into heaven.
Liar!
This is supposed to be a big gotcha moment for the show, as in trying to make heaven seem bad by not knowing this. And well, it's actually one of the most important things heaven actually does. More fucking importantly, Adam writes down the prerequisite list in a few seconds. Act selfless, don't steal, stick it in the man. This is in service of a joke and to pay off Pentious getting into the big gates at the end. We will get to how he bites it soon. But this joke is shit. This setup to the payoff is shit. You telling me that's all it take? Then riddle me this, my friends. In episode 8, we have a whole fucking medley of nameless moots join the fight against the Exorcist. They're fighting for selfless reasons. I doubt all of them are soul and shit before. And they sure fucking stuck it to the man right then and there. So why in the name of Theodore fucking Roosevelt and laying that on the pearly gates too? Oh, this scene pisses me off. We move in just to get evidence of Angel Dust being a Girl Scout and end up in a sex club. See, if I was Adam, I'd just call curtains there and now. Easy done. Hire the drugs and licentious assholes. Easy to play off and the Seraphims can hide their true intentions. But instead he whines about them drinking because, of course, you know, call me biased. I do like Penchus in the club. He's so scared of looking desperate that he ends up looking way too crowd-pleasing and costs himself in the end. It's a nice little 3-part bit and doesn't know what to say it's welcome. Hey boys, catch me in the sex room? Anyway, first temptation arrives with drugs from Cherry Bomb, but Angel Dust declines because he's been making progress off screen. Sure would have liked to see more of that, but apparently all the progress was episode 4. Yay! Moving on, Nifty's fucked up from one shot because as Angel Dust puts it,
Oh, she's like 10 pounds soaking wet.
I'll admit that line got me. Still kind of does, honestly. Angel Dust plays responsible because he's a good boy now. That's what he is. Didn't say that coming. Too bad. It's like we're here now. Top that off with him standing up to Valentina because inconvenience Nifty, and now he fits all 3 parts. The actual standing up to Valentina part is fine, really, but it feels way too unearned. Way too early for this kind of confidence to bubble over. I feel like we could have gotten more actual fear, actual trauma under them before we can give them the confidence to keep it moving. So, with all 3 boxes checked, we move on to the second music number you didn't know. Vocally and rhythmically, the song is nice, but it builds a lot of issues. For one, the other Seraphim didn't know the extermination was going on anyway? Why? What purpose do you have not telling them? I'm sure you could have found a way easier method of telling them about it with a lot more evidence, or at least comfort. What fucking Adam revealing it anyways? Additionally, Emily basically does everything shy of holding up a sign that says heaven is for nerds and she doesn't get brought down from it. I know she's a Seraphim, but this has gotta have consequences, right? Instead of preachy shit, why not have Emily agree but not be actively voicing their opinions out of it, you know, knowing what he would do? It'd make their conversation with Sarah a lot more hard-hitting. Anyways, musical number ends off with Adam revealing both that, you know, that stuff and the fact that Angels... God, I did it again. What the hell? Anyways, musical number ends off with Adam revealing both that and the fact that Vaggy's a foreign exorcist. Shock horror. The visuals in this were at least quite the stingers. I quite like some of the cinematography here. Emily starts yammering about how they're killing thousands of innocent people to Sarah, and while some of them could be, it seems like more often than not you're killing a lot of scum. They got a town for cannibals. Pretty much no consequences for murder, sex, drugs, assault, the works. We need more exploration to believe this. Now it feels like an emotional manipulation. But that is the way we close off. If episode 5 pissed me off the most personally, this episode pisses me off just by virtue of what it stands for and what it does to the world building. More on all that soon, but for now the plot is a tangle of Christmas lights. We're sent with a heaven with a thumb up its ass, and Angel Dust suddenly the Christ Redeemer. Adam spinning more secrets than Tom Holland, and Seraphim that don't seem to know what the hell is going on either. The plot is a jumbled up tangle, and I think it even knows it by this point. Thankfully, it starts to get easier bar a couple of hurls from here on out. But ready for 7? Too bad.
I will fight for love and glory. I will lift the town.
Tensions are high, and the crew don't seem too pleased with Charlie's work so far. Thinking our plans is just getting them deeper and deeper into shit. I like the jib here. It's a neat premise to start us off with, if it actually went anywhere. You seen the pattern? We don't do plot threads here. We do plot segments collected loosely through telephone. Which is a damn shame, because the concept has potential to grow just like a lot of the ideas each episode does carry. Daily Pinches clip, look at this fucking guy. They didn't put him as the poster child for some goddamn reason. Look at him. Anyway. Charlie's still moping about Vaggy being an angel for some reason. Come on, your forgiveness incarnate. If I threw Mao Zedong at you, you'd give him a warm meal and ask him to say sorry nicely. What's the difference if they're wing or wingding? Anyway, Alistair comes to say hi to them. I actually like the chemistry when they actually get a chance to show it. The show does have a good way of making 2 different sides of a coin mesh in new and interesting ways. Then this smile monologue I quite like. It's a little overt as per norm, but it's a good way to show a hint of trust between them and showcase a little bit more about Alistair too. That being said, I don't consider this meeting a complete failure. If anything, it stirred a lot of talk between the angels. Like, you even got a goddamn Seraphim to play your team pretty overtly too. Seems like a strong case to me. A real fuck up would be the extermination protocol being fully recognized. Maybe becoming a full branch of heaven. Adam rallying the angels in a sort of mad bid against the demons. Our way of life is at risk of upheaval and all that shit. Man, would have killed for all that kind of looking at things. Anyhow, Alistair decides now the time to pull his trump card and hints at the intel and picked up in 3. Fucking late for that, isn't it? We got angels knocking the doorstep down and you're looking for a simple favor where Charlie ain't even gotta pull a trigger? You realize Charlie would just do that for you anyways, right? Guess we gotta have more mystery boxes because they're piling up like Amazon's warehouses. Charlie shakes on it, Vaggie bursts in because Christ, Alistair makes a lot of noise doing literally anything, and they stop planning the next steps. Side note, Alistair's scary face bullshit has no real motifs really. Apart from the radio eyes, there's just a lot of generic spooky shit you'd see in an average Pinterest mood board I'd have made 5 years back. I do like Vaggie's speech to everyone. It's dour and dire, but them giving the crew an out speaks to the actual selflessness and people-centric character in a nice and subtle way. It also makes for a good way to pull the crew into actually wanting to stay regardless. All that out of the way though, we move to Cannibal Town, which apparently Charlie has never been to. Like, again, Princess of Hell. Why do you know anything? I'm gonna come back to Cannibal Town in a few, but for now they head on into Bed Bath & Bodies to meet Rosie, a socialite sweetheart who's the overlord from episode 3. I got no complaints about another character here, mainly because this time they actually preemptively introduced her. Pop some champagne to that, do ya? I like the ace in the hole joke she slides to Alistair. It's kinda cute, and I imagine it's sent Twitter artists scrambling for their pens. So Charlie introduced herself in a usually vaguely pathetic way, and the two ask for Rosie's help. They ask for the whole town's help in defending against an angelic incursion. She goes along with it like a light switch. How? Ain't this regs flags for 6 different ways? Do you not feel like that would just get them all killed? What about your power and influence? Your soul count? Anything like that? Christ, I guess they rolled a nat 20 in persuasion. Or held the gun to the screenwriter. Cut to Vaggie, who's trying to get Camilla to fork over the way she iced the angel by shouting at her front door. I kind of like the humor in this episode, honestly. I think they found their footing with how to balance things in the later episodes all out, barring one exception. Camilla plays hardball, even though she knows damn well the angels will kill every fucking one in order to get their point off. That kind of thing don't make sense for shit. You think you're gonna be able to handle 30 exorcists pounding your door down? You barely held one back from tearing your daughters a new one. She gives a fake out hit before starting to teach Vaggie how to defend themselves without being a fucking idiot. Cut back to Charlie, who has been given the stage to appeal to all the cannibals. The winning hand is to appeal to all of them, and that's apparently easy as pie, save for one old bitch, because I guess Margaret Thatcher has to have an afterlife too. Charlie tries out for a bit, but has some pushback from Thatcher, and it doesn't go out well. So they give an intermission. They can do that? Do these people got lives to live, or is that not like an issue? Go back to Vaggie, who's reliving my Elden Ring fight with Melinda. Yeah, she's got a nice boss fight arena here too, which I do appreciate. Camilla immediately points her out as an angel because she has a giant X over her eye and an angelic spear, which she knew right off the bat. How the hell don't anyone else? Do they? Is it just Charlie that doesn't know? What's the deal with you? So, I want you to bear with me here, alright? Vaggie admits she doesn't know angels could be harms because... well, actually, yes, you fucking do, you ornery bitch. You got your eye sliced out as one. But then, Camilla released to Vaggie that angelic steel is the method used to kill angels. Which, hey, Vaggie, did you not know this? Do you not remember having your eye sliced out and your wings cut off by an angel? You clearly did, because you were nervous about having to begin with, and I ain't buying the memory wipe bullshit. So how the fuck did you not realize this shit before, darling? They mention angels fight unafraid of harm because nobody can harm them without angelic steel, but it's hinted that people can get this shit anyway. You sound like nobody tried this, even in desperation. Why did they leave their spears around even? That's a fucking weakness, you meatheads. How the hell did Vaggie get around for years without needing to change her fighting style? No changes at all? Fuck me, at least we get this song, Out for Love, which is a pretty sick musical track all around. It even gives her wings. For some reason, weren't those cut out? You can grow them back with enough love. Never mind. I don't need to do this shit. We get a nice break from the stupid once we get to Charlie, at least mostly. Rosie says Charlie's got more on the mind than angels, which, you sure? The angels are a pretty big fucking thing to deal with, Rosie. That's like genocide to deal with. I'd be stressed and pissed off too, you know. But hey, it leads into a nice rare case of a slow scene in the show, and one thing I think this show does nice is slow scenes. When it can be fucked into them. Rosie gives nice advice, and the conversation feels natural. It even gives a pretty decent explanation for why Vaggie didn't Charlie about the angel stick, which I'm not too sure I buy it completely still, but I mean, hey, look, they give it a pretty good explanation for what they had to work with. It's nice, and patches some holes as we see him. She gets back on stage, and Alistair even hands her his little radio staff thingy, which I thought was cute too. This whole sequence felt nice in general, if it weren't for the sheer amount of fucking red in it. This sequence leads into Ready for This, which is probably the most musical of the musical genre. It moves the plot along, and it has that same liveliness that musicals usually do. It even lets the audience know that Alistair actually does give at least half a damn about Charlie's idea, even if it might be a case of potential and nothing else. But hey, everyone reunites. The subsidiary squads has been hanging by to make fortifications, and they all prep for the big day. Roll credits. Aside from a couple of really annoying scenes, I actually don't mind this episode either. It has to do a lot of heavy lifting to make up for its lazy episodes, and the fight between Vaggie and Camilla really does grind my bones, but scratching it, the episode's a fine enough addition. It does get pretty good about making things a setup for the big finale. Almost there, ladies and gents, and I just want to say I appreciate you staying this long. While you're here, feel free to like and subscribe if you're enjoying my work so far. Maybe you'll like what's ahead. Though I have my doubts you'll like the last episode. But hey, we'll see, shall we? Our final episode opens up with cameras, specifically Vox's cams, watching the gang and the cannibal crew train up. Immediately we got ourselves a problem, calling that the issue with episode 2. Vox gets introduced as kind of a big guy, gets shot down by Alistair like a deer in headlights, and then disappears. Up until now, where he turns into a goddamn spectator. You can put him in the corner of a video and that's his impact on the whole show. You think I'm joking? Outside of maybe getting Benches to show up, is the only thing Vox does for the entirety of the goddamn show. It's useless. Anyway, Charlie's all nervous and stuff. Pinchas shows up in a DLC skin. Nifty gets Chekhov's knife for later. Gets a training some more. God, we did not need Vox at fucking all for this thing, man. We can stop this live reaction stick. It ain't funny. It's the same as all reaction content. Nothing is being added of substance. So how did you get cams in the hotel? You tell me Pinchas is still running a turncoat? Anyway, Charlie's giving a little speech, standing cut and dry, go get him sort of thing. And then they cut for drinks. I like this warm lighting here. It's not overbearing, but it adds a nice bit of camaraderie to the whole team and showcases they get come so far. Like, I guess. Like, they really haven't done shit to earn this, but it's what we got today. Just get used to it, it's like, oh the fuck, they really didn't give good B-roll voiceover. After this though, we get a lightning round of more down-to-earth scenes. Alistair and Nifty, Angel and Husk, Pinchas and Cherry to name a couple. They're nice for the most part. Alistair and Nifty don't got much in common, but the scene works for their characters. Angel and Husk got good chemistry when it comes to it, and Pinchas is always a cod, even though he gets about as much game as my editor. Sorry, King. I do have one issue with the whole thing though, and it lies with Husker. So far we got barely any reason for him to mill out here. He's got angels, sure, but he's not really had much exploration aside from telling someone his backstory. I feel like he needed a scene or two to actually make it fit better. Moving on though, we got an admittedly pretty nice and sweet scene involving Charlie and Vaggie. Two lovebirds making a final confession of love before a battle takes place that could ice both of them cold. Charlie's weeping over how it's a genuine chance they might lose, and Vaggie comforts her while leading into a quick verse of more than anything. That track from episode 5. I'll admit it, the scene tugs the heartstrings. It's short enough to not get too overbearing, voices are nice, and shots slow and sweet. It's ironic that the good scenes piss me off the most, because it leaves me wondering what the hell the show could have really been. But, Vaggie's voice acting and the singing voice are just, they're just straight up two different people. Yeah, cut to heaven when Adam's egging on the Exorcist army to kick some demon ass. The human here is another example of what I mean by Adam being able to work when he's not just the dick master. Battles all get up to start, and I gotta stop it before it starts. Just remember where everyone's placed here. Right there, in that little segment. This little rectangle, basically. Just keep it in mind. By the way, I like everyone's battle threads here. Vaggie looks like one of the daughters from Other Side, some niche game nobody's ever played. Go play Other Side, sweet. Charlie Shield's pretty thematic. Cherry's looking sweet in a suit, and I don't mind Angel's us kind of threadbare look. Although I think it's the weakest of the bunch. More on that later though. More bullshit from the V's follow. Atlas shrugged. The battle begins. Battle's pretty standard stuff, but Adam and Luda's surprised angelic weapons hurt Angels. Meet up. You both did the fucking mutilating the Vaggie, you dopes. Seriously, why does no one fucking remember this shit? Anyway, turns out Alistair sets up a barrier which accounts for approximately fuck all when it's broken right afterwards. Adam sees Alistair and we gear up for the showdown there. The showdown itself is pretty flashy. I actually like the choreography and the banter is mostly pretty solid. And it ends with Alistair actually losing for the first time in the actual show. How about that? He gets overconfident, pays the price, and almost dies, barely able to get out. I like this gag anyway. It's pretty good.
What just happened?
So, Alistair dips, some generic fighty stuff happens, and Adam starts playing Zeus and zapping bitches, having a fucking blast. Everyone says they won't last long when Adam raining holy MG42 on the gang. Pinchas gears up for something big. He's been a pushover for a good period of time here, but he don't back down when his buddies are in danger. And it comes to a head here. So he says his goodbyes, he kisses Cherry Bomb in a final farewell, and he sets off to make shit right again. He gets his airship primed, he charges the Death Ray, which I feel like you should have had primed already, but sure, and charges forward. He gives the order. And for a few moments, I feel something in this cold, dead heart of mine. Bae, how about we see it for ourselves, shall we?
You out of your fucking mind? Yes.
Hell yeah.
Boys will look at this and just say hell yeah.
Yeah. This is the male fantasy.
I mean, honestly.
Alright, you ready to see Pentius do his fucking crazy ass sacrifice? It's great.
Wait, what?
Get him, King.
What?
That could have been ugly.
And that's him. That's him done.
You fucking what?
That's him done.
No way.
That is how he goes out.
You're kidding.
I wish I fucking was.
Excuse me, that's how he dies?
That's how he fucking dies. They hyped the shit out of that. Did that shit and then played it off like it was a sad moment. Fuck you.
So tell me what you want from me.
Show me the writer. Show me the person who geared this up. Which one of you 10 fucking writers drafted this fucking ideas? You stupid motherfuckers. Pentius, one of the only consistent characters we got here, fucking dies like a mosquito in a frog swamp. And they got the gall, they got the fucking chutzpah to act like this death that they played as a joke is now a sad character moment. Fuck you, you little shits. If Adam just did this to a fucking airship, the battle's fucking over. One beat me, you're fucked. The airship becomes dust for Christ's sake. You did good, buddy? No, he fucking did. He failed like everything else he does in his fucking show. Still the best character, though.
Taking some breaths. Let's continue. Charlie goes from the big sad to the big man and transforms. Her little demon bubs with 30-second screen time transform into dragons and she gets a boring transformation. And they soar up to give Adam the what for. Anyway, Luke fucking bitches Vaggie and the dragon instantly fucking dies because this show handles pacing it about him like a meth addict handles watching Breaking Bad.
But Mr. Hayek's DDD's it.
Those two gear up to tussle for a bit afterwards. Meanwhile, Charlie and Adam also spar a bit. Adam slaps Charlie about to monologue and she pokes him in the arm a bit. Where's the dragon? She's a less than useless for Christ's sakes. What about the others? Aren't they all gonna come in to help Vaggie out of tick? Speaking of, Vaggie loses. Did you get fucking anti-angel training? What would have made sense is that Luke would have been stronger physically and magically. She has the technique down pat. They banter, Vaggie does some dance fight moves like last episodes, and starts giving Luke what for. Have I even called back to the moves Carmilla did to her? But instead, Vaggie wins by causing collapse in the roof and trapping Luke inside. Never mind tone or theme, or the fact that Luke can fucking dart in and out of places like nobody's business. Anyway, Vaggie puts the mercy option in his detailed plot and leaves her to have her tear her arm out of the cave in. I thought angelic steel was the thing the angels heard, because his roof has some fancy shit in it. Charlie looks like she's in a pickle in this fight, and Vaggie's still busy with Luke. With one arm? How fucking shit are you? But don't worry, this who comes to the aid but Big Daddy Lucifer. Now, you show up to the fucking crusade now. The genocide, the one your daughter's fighting against. Where the fuck were you? Aura farming in the background? You're not Piccolo. He just shows up, no explanation, like some kind of Deus Ex Lucifer. Somehow they ain't even really point narrating the rest of this fight, because Lucifer just auto wins, because of course he does. Well, not before Adam hyperbeams the goddamn hotel in Hell and a Half, which... Why'd you wait for this shit? I get overconfidence, this is just stupid. Remember when they were in this fucking rectangle? Anyways, Adam's down for the count. But they picked the mercy option because I guess this is what they do now. You do realize that if Luke and Adam are still alive, they're just gonna come back with more, right? Whatever the case, we get in. Actually, genuinely kind of interesting, desperate monologue from Adam. It showcases his genuine confusion to how this could happen, this mask literally having disappeared from him, and revealing the weak man inside. Desperate for that praise and adoration that... never mind that. Nifty uses Chekhov's knife and stabs him to death like a Londoner, so it's all good. Look, I'm not mad about Nifty. But can we at least let that sit a little bit more? Some exploration into their weakness and maybe a few lines to finish them ideologically too? Guess not? Okay. So the angels appear and they pack up shop and the day is saved thanks to the Powerpuff Girls. They pick up the wreckage some and conveniently stumble across Pentius's first week banner, triggering the show must go on. First off, stop trying to make Pentius's sacrifice serious. You made it a joke, you played it as a joke, now lie in your fucking grave and wait for the shovel. This song's one of the longest ones for good reason, you know, being the finale, so bullet point it all. Clear up the wreckage and build the hotel again. V's say they'll be relevant in season 2, which is one season too late. Alistair makes like he's gonna be a background villain and lay low, but then doesn't. No interest in nothing. And then the hotel looks better than ever, thanks to Lucifer magic, I guess. I really don't like Lucifer being a catch-all fix for everything. It makes shit unsatisfying because he can just snap his fingers and make plot stuff. A couple of scenes in Heaven follows, Ben just makes it into heaven. Look, while I think he of all people deserves it for sure, I really want to know why he was the one who made it in, no one else. I assume this is another season 2 thing. I hope so anyway. One little cutscene later for season 2 to worry about again, and finally I draw the curtains on Hazbin Hotel. Satisfied? I weren't. As a finale, this really don't hit the mark. They clearly had no idea how to pace the final battle, and they really have no clue how to make tension and relief work in a cohesive fashion without bastardizing their own frickin' script and characters. The angels look like a bunch of nobodies, and the characters look worse, save for Lucifer, who kinda just cleans up the mess. The slower scenes were nice, but it was clear they just either were setting up or ramping up character shit for the season. If we had more of that stuff throughout the whole season instead, you can imagine the clothing scenes would actually have more impact. In fact, one reason why Charlie and Baggies work so well is because they had 2 whole episodes of character just to sort through in order to get to that finishing point. It's not even mentioning the V's, just complete lack of agency involving this whole charade. I mean, fuck, you might as well have them cut out of the whole episode, you wouldn't miss them. Wrapping up the season though, the best words I can use to describe it is missed potential. I've seen what good this show can actually do, and what scenes it can construct when it's given enough wiggle room to actually do it. But it's clear they didn't do any of that. Instead, what they did was waste a whole lot of time code on a lot of scenes that did a lot of nothing, and peppered in a lot of neurotically overt plot stuff to actually be relevant for the future. The phrase that the show turned out bad because they had such a short runtime is bullshit. It's comes to about 3 hours of runtime, and I know a damn fine number of films and even segments of TV shows that can do a marvel with that amount of time alone. But they waste it. They waste the potential, the time, the characters, and the possibilities it could have to explore its themes. And it pisses me off. Not just for the fact that I'm a cold-hearted cynic who would put cigarettes in my whiskey and coffee in my cigarettes. No, it pisses me off for the fans of the show. And what they could have had instead. What this what could have been. The plot could have made. The characters and story that could have been set. But I've gone along about the plot. So sometimes people don't care about that kind of thing, as long as the world's good. There's a rich environment that people can actually pause from and imagine themselves in, so how about it? What's the world a Hazbin Hotel look like? Alright, fine, I'll explain. Even though I really don't think you need it, all things considered. The world building of Hazbin Hotel invents a lot of things, hints at the idea of them, and then dumps it off like the front of a Goodwill. Concepts like the V's, the idea of technology rule in the minds of the people, angelic security, sex work in the eyes of the people, the overlord system, heaven itself, hell itself, Lucifer's job, Charlie's place in the hierarchy, daily life in hell, the monetary system. Fucking now stop me already! I'm not even holding myself because I'm out of ideas. There's just so much we've got already.
And the thing is, we didn't even need all this shit answered in one season. Fuck, we didn't really need half of this answered to begin with. But there are a few things that need answering off the bat, because leaving it out to dry just makes things more awkward for everyone involved. And this show seems to be a class act at just making up a lot of setups to be dealt with later on.
Commonly, this sort of thing is a staple in storytelling, see? It's set up and payoff. You set up something, you pay it off later. Chekhov's gun is a good example. You set up a mysterious deal in episode 3 and pay it off in episode 7, simple enough. I'm sure you can get the idea behind it. The setup adds the mystery, got a lot of time to think a little on it, we pay it off later. Issue here is that dear Vivian Medrano seems to have spilled a little bit too much setup into the mix and only added a teaspoon of payoff. One setup without a payoff is fine. 2 is jumpy, depending on your storytelling. 3 takes a lot of work, and anything more than that, in my opinion, is just season baiting. Let's start with my biggest example, being Heaven. They're already trying to pan the whole concept of Heaven being a sort of VIP-only country club of sorts, especially since they don't know who gets in or how. That sort of revelation can't exist as a setup and payoff factor because that makes no goddamn motherfucking sense. Seraphims, the big bosses of the angelic legions here, second only to Jesus H. Christopher himself, only get an idea when Adam pulls out a napkin and starts writing shit down. Logically, that don't make fucking sense. Because not only does it imply nobody ever thought to write down commandments in heaven, but secondly, that Adam was this be-all deciding factor here. As the idea of season baiting this payoff for season 2 is nothing short of annoying, because it's not a fun setup to pay off. It's a glaring plot hole that we need to wait and see how you patch in a second season. This ain't fun, this ain't no Chekhov's gun. Come Act 3 and I'll use the gun to blow my brains out if we keep this. Alright, I joke for now, but this sort of shtick is a common theme here. let's keep going with the big stuff. Heaven and hell. What's the difference? More importantly, how is there a difference when we see what we have? Everything seems happy in heaven, sure, but sex, body, and the like is still a big factor from what I can tell you. Do they have robes? If so, who keeps the order? We don't see no big-time guardsmen. Having them about would show there's at least some kind of firm hand here. And what about hell? They made hell a fucking GTA 5 server. All's missing is a 12-year-old Russian kid who fresh unlocks too. They only know slurs in English. If the theme here is redemption, then what the hell separates them from playing it like that? Is it just that everyone's bad? If so, how do you plan to redeem a whole system? Is it lawlessness? Are there laws in hell, and how is it managed if so? What if, as well as the hotel business, Charlie invested a hell of a lot of time and effort into community services, medical, shelters, relief aid, and bear with me, police. Yeah, scary word, I said it. Sounds antithetical? Look me in my cold dead eyes and tell me that having the streets cleaned to gunfire is antithetical. That sort of angle can be a neat touch. Gives Charlie a bit more intelligence and wisdom to our actions, and could even make Lucifer's convincing a bit more genuine. Might even make sense for enemies to be made with these who might want to keep things low down and dirty to make their mark and profits. See how just a few tweaks can make the world shine? Let's keep going and pull the sinners out. What's their deal? They're clearly fucked up and murder happy. Why? Are they mentally ill? Bloodlusted? Just in it for the love of the game? I'm sure they all got their reasons after all. No one crime-ridden city has all its criminals in it for the one reason. But all in all, there's probably reasons that win out over others. Let's do it in the lightning round here. Are they mentally ill? Tweak Charlie a little bit into a proper therapist, or at least a guidance counselor, and appeal to our avenue. Are they homeless and desperate? See my previous concept about the outreach services and junk. Are they in it for the love of the game? Dig deeper and find out why. Then we can move from there. Are they hopeless and jaded? Stay the course and show a steady progress in what people believe in. Show a few souls that ain't the main cast looking around the place. I'm sure at least one sucker in hell would be interested. Let's raise up the food chain here to the overlords. What the hell are they? We're told in episode 3 that they represent the controlling powers of this city and can apparently combine they own millions of souls. First up, what are souls here? Currency or labor? I'll assume labor since that's the stronger pick. In that case, then these fuckers should be the most terrifying motherfuckers this circle of hell's ever seen. Let's assume millions in this instance is 2 million. Dividing that between the 5 other people here, not including Velvet since he didn't show up just yet, looking at a minimum of 400,000 people per overlord. And this ain't like a subscriber count on a YouTube channel. These fuckers own these souls. So why in St. George are they not a constant and looming presence at all times? These guys pretty much own sections of hell and yet get bullied at their own meeting by Charlie fucking Emilio. What needs to happen is something similar to Arcane, where council meetings are a consistent or at least lingering thing that affect the plot too. The world around them almost bending to their whims. Additionally, we need to give these 2 idiots a name and a proper face. Big Lady here. Have her work the docks and industry. The fancy fucker can rep the rich. Big Lady can elect souls by a sort of twisted workers union that provides amenities and riots for a hefty price, and fancy fucker here can pull people out of the gutter into caviar for the same deal. Boom. Simple, effective, and it makes sense for their districts. Skimming past overlords though, I'm sure we're both curious here. The fuck are the V's even doing? What's their deal? It's obvious there's some kind of giant corporation running sex, commercialization, and social. Makes sense, and actually seems kinda neat to explore. Too bad we don't. Why don't we? You can't just introduce a huge fucking faction into a show and do nothing with them. That's beyond stupid. It's just annoying to your viewers. We're gonna take all 3, but nothing to really work with outside that. Depending on the avenue we want to take, we can make the V's either a more predominant secondary antagonist, always meddling and shit, or we can make them take a step back and be the sort of shadowy figures puppeteering from the background. You could even have them slowly playing the long game with the overlords themselves, and have Alistair be the only one wise to their tricks, as due to his history with the fuckers. Have Alistair be the last bastion. As a result, they seek to tear them out good and true. Easy? I'd say so. Instead, I don't know what most of these fuckers are from Radio Static. They lost all their bite already. And now whatever act we're gonna pull in Season 2 is gonna be heavily weakened as a result of it. Now we ain't even mentioned Big Daddy Lucifer just yet. Who in Sam fucking hell is he? Overlord of Hell itself? Sure don't feel like it. He shows up episode 5, huddled up in a workshop making rubber duckies. Does he not have royal duties? Is he shirking them? If he is, who's taking the place of this guy? Is this why the overlords are in place? He can make buildings good as new, like nothing else it seems, able to just kinda make whatever happen. So what's his excuse not playing the active hand? What made him give up if he's this cracked at everything? You wanna ground this some? Let's make it easier. Strip the fancy shit. Make Lucifer a disgraced royal with reputation ruined because of his deal with the angels. His power depleted minus some semi-competent magics. He's reduced himself to a hermit, desperate to make something to clear his mind. This makes his depression feel more real, adds a reason for his exile, and even makes the divide between him and his daughter make fucking sense. It says his Deus Ex Lucifer can do whatever the plot needs him to, and it becomes real unsatisfying, especially in the last episode. This is what bad world building gets you, people. And again, you don't gotta play all your cards at once here. If you remove the V's, and even remove Lucifer himself from the mix, we can have a more grounded story involving Charlie just trying to fix up hell just a little bit before time runs thin and the extermination's at our door. Then when the time does come, you can see the V's as a bit more of a secondary threat. Or you can replace Heaven with the V's and just have her trying to make right with the V's getting in the way. Heaven can be a shadow. A bright, holy ass shadow. Look, you get the idea. Also, side note, I'm not talking about a hell of a boss in this whole thing. This show should stand up on its own two legs. I'm not gonna delve into some subsidiary content to make this video. This ain't gonna be how that works. Okay, so world building, not too good. But surely there's some good in the themes, right? Surely there's some good life lessons to be made from the thematic resonance of the stories themselves and the world it creates from that, right? Well, don't just stand there, give me my title card.
Today's subject is slavery.
There's actually quite a lot I like about the themes that this story is trying to tell here. Separating all the meat from the bones, the concept of redemption in the face of utter hopelessness is a fascinating topic. It gives some wiggle room for themes such as good and evil, whether it's possible to redeem everyone, what truly classifies as redemption, preset power structures and their faults, loose versus rigid politics, why the internet keeps shitting these two shitwits, etc. Regarding our main theme in redemption, Charlie here is certainly our lens into the world. A sort of insight into the mind of a person only seeing the good. Putting someone like that smack dab into the middle of a hive of scum and villainy, it's got nearly boundless potential. Every duke and dame here feels like they'd have a word to say on the topic, and the idea of how far redemption can go is a bold and nuanced concept. Because let's get a little raw here. We're all fine and dandy redeeming this guy. But what about redeeming this guy? What about this guy? Or this guy?
Hello, monkey.
Evil ain't a grain scale, and it comes in a whole lot of colors, so the idea of redemption for all, it's a bumpy road to walk because everyone's idea of what redemption is, or should be, is a divisive topic, especially regarding who deserves it. Having all the characters have their own stanch would be really fascinating to run down. We saw it with Adam and Lou, being two bad chumps. Definitely fits their worldview and personality some, and gives us a good antithetical argument to bounce off. At least if the cartoony evil was toned down a little. Or maybe, hey, keep the evil on them, but have the Seraphim make some genuinely good points. I wouldn't say that off the top of my head, that sinners would always be tempted by sin and risk tearing apart the gates of heaven with their indulgence and vice. And then Charlie can counter by saying something about how Adam himself is, tainted in indulgence with the whole entertainment aspect. Hoping for a cover-up, that'd be a hell of a time to open it wide. Trick is with all this, that while the show plays a decent enough hand at showing their themes, they end up being a little lackluster. Episode 7 plays into it nicely, and by extension, I suppose episode 6 as well too, minus the world-building issues and the fact that Angel Dust just flips on a switch to be good all of a sudden. The rest of the episodes don't really do a good job neither, with a grand total of half an episode maybe being given to the idea of it. 2/4 if we're being specific here. The episodes play at the idea, but again, do way too much all at once to flashbang you with a string of everything else. Instead of getting a balanced and diverse series of viewpoints within the roster, we get about 2. The good guys offer redemption, and the bad guys not for it. This pretty much takes out all the goddamn nuance in the show, by reducing it to, we are the good guys who have the good opinion. I'm not asking for some big-time moral gray area. Obviously, the protagonist would make the more favorable view here, but give me a discussion, a debate, something to show your hand some more. Not just from the other side here, I'm talking the characters. Any character-based themes? What differences do these people have on the topic versus someone like Charlie? Does Husker think that we're all just destined to burn, and so fuck it, might as well embrace the suck? Does Angel Dust want to believe, but feel too trapped in their own contract and their fucked up lifestyle to actually commit himself? Maybe Vaggie believes up to a point, but thinks certain people should just eat shit and die. And Alistair, what about making him sort of a background man, just looking to make bank either way and not giving a shit until maybe later if we want to be that way? Having characters have a stake in the themes and the storyline that they're playing a card in can make that game a whole lot more high stakes as it progresses. It can even lead to some interesting dialogue too. A naive hopeful clashing with a jaded cynic has a lot of potential to fly some sparks around and make some tension. Even get a little insight into the dynamics of the characters themselves. Overall though, the themes are good on paper. I just like to see them used up more often and maybe even played into with some deeper insights and handling. So far though, it's wasted on a busy time code and characters who don't even seem to care about a war they're fighting. Bar a few. And oh boy, look, characters are something else, let me tell ya. Wait, Oh fuck, I gotta talk about these assholes next. Editor, do it for me, I'm on smoke break.
Hey guys, this is my totally cool character review for High Speed Hotel. First we got Alistair, he's pretty cringe. We got Vox, oh finally some blue. Oh, and then Mimsy.
Alright, break's over, let's sweep one and grit the teeth through it. Picture this. Vivian Majano wakes up one day having dreamed of a character. She spends a week creating it while having 6 more equally weird dreams overlaying it. The result is the entire roster of these characters and their strange and disjointed designs. And look, I'll not be a brute about it. They're animated, drawn, and made beautifully. Every last one. Fuck, the background characters are brilliant too. Everyone feels unique and has a little bit of difference to them. They feel like a character of their own, not a cardboard cutout. Well, it weren't necessary to do it. I can tell these animators and artists definitely had fun making this project. You know, hats off to them. Again, I ain't here to smear dirt over something without a reason. Artistically, the show's a marvel. I just wish you guys had some better material to run with. The talent out, we need to take a peek at the character design. I won't mince words about it, the character design in Has Been Hotel is best described in one word.
Is it red?
Garish.
Oh.
They're not necessarily awful, it's just clear that some parts of them don't come across like they really honestly should. And considering they're deeper characters themselves, I feel like a good design should reflect that a little bit more. You don't gotta make every character who's, say, a sex worker into a streetwalker in skin-tight crop tops and the like, and I know that whole biology of the place seems a little, sandboxy, but it never hurts to have designs that are more simple and less of this. Deeper down past the skin and the flesh is also the characters themselves and how they're portrayed. Even god-awful plots can be saved with likable, relatable, and fun characters that can get you hooked into something. I mean, stories like the Call of Duty Modern Warfare franchise are a good example. We can all agree that the plot there ain't exactly special or groundbreaking, but it's the characters that drive it home. Without Price or Soap or Ghost, you might as well not even be playing a campaign, right? But unfortunately, for every legitimate character beat that people get, there's about 9 different cases where they just act one note. Annoying and kind of samey for the duration of the runtime. So I'll lay the cards down for you. We'll run through the characters in no particular order, I'll say my piece on them in the character design, and we'll keep going until I got nothing else to say. Starting with... we have our main character, and the only one whose design got worse from the pilot, while maintaining her kinda quirkomaniac random XD humor. Holy shit, that was 6 years ago? Man, this shit ages you more than cheap cigars. For the most part, I like Jolly. Then again, she's not really easy to hate, considering what sort of shtick she's got. She's a nice gal with a heart bigger than her brain ought to be, and that works for her. Even though I still don't know how she has a damn head on her body, all things considered. It does kinda dig me wrong just how much she does know. And how little of a spine she's got even when she's not about something, at least in hell. She kinda gets her mojo sometime into the season, but with all the violence of hell and open-armed she is with the crackhead Joes, this question does spark at you. How the hell is she alive? Put this woman in any big-time city now and she'd be stabbed to death with plastic spoons. All things considered otherwise, she's pretty fine. Does what she needs to, and her kind of naivete makes a string of questions and plot threads work, at least in hindsight. Her design ain't that bad, all considered too. Taking a design from the pilot visually, I'm not talking the story and lore, but then the gunslick. The design here works better. It's more soft, and suit being pastel instead of neon red's a nice touch. And we didn't really need this kind of triangle shoulders shit that everyone's got going on for some reason. She kind of had it in the past, but not that much. Plus, her lightest sharp edges kind of make her a more visual representation of that innocence. A round little ball of sunshine in a world of broken glass and shattered dreams. Her angrier form, though, is a whole other thing. We could chalk it up to her innocence, all of that, sure, but if we're thinking Lucifer's daughter, we gotta have something better for the finale, at least, right? This final angrier form is more like a caricature of a demon. Horns, spade tail, pitchfork. Is that what we're going for here? I don't know, for a show so happy with subversion, I thought you'd do more with it.
It's why I named you after the best thing ever.
Pussy! I got a lot more for this fucker. Vaggie as a character annoys me. Partially due to the fact she's a terrible gardener for Charlie, but considering she lets her go off alone to meetings with angels and into the sex CEO's dungeon. She also breaks this whole goddamn narrative by means of her selective fucking amnesia, considering she knew this whole goddamn angelic immortality thing was a fucking bust anyway. She plays a sort of bad cop routine as Charlie's good cop, which conceptually is a good trope to play, you know, fits in line with her. She plays this okay, I suppose. She definitely has one of the more deeper characters in this roster, and I'd be lying if I said she didn't interest me at least a little bit. I just think they should have played an amnesiac route. have banishment mean you get amnesia, and have the angels grab a spear and maybe give her a better name, whatever fucking Dick Master thought was a funny fucking pussy joke. So you named this bitch after pussy. They named one of the main characters after pussy. You know what? Keep it. You can. But make it a birth name and something she could separate from her amnesiac self. Call it something similar, or simpler at least, like Val, and you got a neat allegory for the whole you ain't your past, while also patching up the biggest fucking plot hole we have here. Overall, her design's alright. I like her hair, how it looks like a feather, and the X over the eye is nice, even if, again, it causes plot holes, but whatever, really. Nothing much to add to it with her design. It works good. Cheers for her. Old Angel Dust. He's a sex worker. In case you could not tell.
I can suck your dick.
This guy's one of the biggest examples of why people think this show is so one-note and childish, and it shows with the first 3 episodes. Despite one admittedly good scene with the voicemails in episode 2, he gets barely any growth or even any hints at his darker side or even a deeper personality. Why didn't you play into the pimp thing from the start? Start him off as your sex-crazed lunatic, then peppering that defensiveness and deflection. Add the voicemail scene after, maybe just a couple throwaway lines of what else Angel does for fun besides picking his dick within a stone throw. I'm not asking you to take out his hypersexuality. It can be a decent trait, and I did like it explored deeper in episode 4. Just, again, that part of him I actually really liked. It's when he takes everyone to a sex club for group bonding, including Charlie, who he knows is pretty much the most sexless woman on the planet. It's pretty antithetical to his whole, I don't want anyone to end up like me spiel he gave in 6. See how we're looping ourselves around and around here? And it don't help that he just flips on a goddamn dime past episode 5 because the plot needs him to. He didn't have a character arc. He said some shit to a bartender who called him a fucking loser. But I guess it's fine because it was in a cool way. He needs fucking therapy, not a musical number. More than that, actually. He needs a consistent through line. At least 30% less sex jokes, please. Design-wise, also kind of confuses me. He's got what I think is like an open collar shirt with a bow tie and a choker? High shorts, sure, makes sense, and the boots work, but what's with the mismatched everything? You got stripes with dots, which are apparently eyes, red and white gloves, and black and white eyes, and a throw-out hairdo, and there's already a bit of a wastrel here. They want to go with something a bit more 30s to 50s, don't we? Make him a flapper. Lace leggings, short skirt with mid-crop lace, maybe a few silks and some dark gloves. You can even make it androgynous if you feel like. Just lose the dots. I see where you're going, but the spider thing don't work. Oh, better yet, if you want to make it work, shrink the eyes a little, add 2 smaller but still visible ones. Easy peasy. Now, I ain't no character designer, but this to me feels like it'd fit better. Of course, I'll leave that to your imaginations.
When I'm drinking whiskey, I know nothing can go wrong.
Husker annoys me as well, but for more benign reasons. All things considered, he ain't really a character so much as he is a Rick and Morty dunk character made to tell it like it is. He gets a little flesh in episode 4, but aside from that, he ain't got anything tangible to work with. And even then, the backstory leaves a lot to be desired. Keith David's voice, feels like one of the few strings holding this band together. A strong string, at least. Keith's voice is like cracked to the ear canal. Fuck it, 50%. Make every character voice feel like him. You probably go for 6 points. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, imagine if Alistair and him had a more symbiotic thing going on together. Still master and slave, not like that, you freaks. But more dynamic in the fact that one can't do without the other, despite the dynamic clear as day. Gives Husker more agency while also fleshing him out some. You can even have him reveal more of himself in their interactions as well as Alistair. Win-win. I don't have much to say on his character, other than the fact that he's a fucking expedition dump, but it really just feels like a lot of wasted potential. Especially when I consider to be his stance on redemption, or what it could be in contrast to the tasks ahead. Having an ASIC make really fucking good tension, More or less, I just wish we had something with Husker to work with, but we don't really have anything, and that kills the mood, I tells you. Design-wise, oh god, this guy looks fucking whack. They wanted a gambler's profile here mixed with some kind of mythological cat creature, but the result just looks fucking silly. Way too much stuff going on at once. The upper body confuses me. They got a bow tie with some kind of shirt collar bunny thing that does jack. The chest and stomach out for no reason. He's got fingerless gloves. If I want to simplify things, here's my take. Remove the wings. You don't need them. He never even really uses them anyhow. If you really want them to exist, say he lost him in his deal with Alistair as a reminder. Actually clothe the fucker's top half in something like a red vest so he looks like a dealer. Ditch the suspenders, and presto. You can even keep a bow tie like every fucking character seems to have. No, I'm not kidding. Oh fuck, did we gotta do this one? I mean, he is my favorite, so I guess I gotta, but just looking at him just kinda makes me all disappointed. I think I'm a dad. Leave it to Glitch Horse Productions to stumble into an interesting concept, tell it looser than angel dust on a fucking Friday, and send him off as meaningfully as a fucking mosquito. Pentious is a lot of people's favorite, it seems, and it's a lot to actually look into it and find out why. He's a failed villain with a talented mind and genuine sweetness in his heart. Reminds me a little bit of Doofenshmirtz in a way. From episode 2, they clearly were setting him up to be the example of sorts. He's on edge and jumpy at first, but over time he warms up to the environment around him and gets acclimated to the people around him. He even starts to break out of his shell as time goes on. But I'm not gonna act like his character's without any problems. I looked through the episodes with him in it, and I noticed he has a precise number of about 0 W's. 1 if you count his quick kiss with Cherry. He's the show's punching bag. It's as clear as day. Gets bitched by Alistair, gets made fun of by the cast. Clearly has no fucking backbone when it comes to fighting. His biggest machine does a grand total of fuck all in the long run. As does his big sacrifice. I ain't saying to make Pentious some fucking Giga Chad domineering lean mean muscle man who can bench press the way to the Vatican, but you gotta give him something more. Show us a deeper insight into his inventions. Maybe his background, what his goals are, what he thinks as a person deep down. We hinted something in episode 2, but past that we get a grand total of nothing as to what kind of a person he is apart from a crush on Cherry and a vague people-pleaser mindset. Also a drama queen too. In fact, I'll do you one better. Play up the drama queen. He's a showman's villain, monologues and all, so make him always like that. He has a desire for attention, to be in the spotlight, because he's cultivated this big villain persona, and that's how he gets his name around here. But as the season goes on, and he can't keep doing that, he starts to crack a little. It's clear he's some kind of coward, scared of big time, risky confrontation that isn't just villain banter. Think Megamind, yeah? Then we see Beyond the Veil, and he's basically a scared kid. Desperate for some kind of connection, he fills the void with meaningless theatrics. With the crew, he can find his place and connect with them. Then when he sacrifices himself and does it right this fucking time, it'll resonate a little more with people. Design-wise, I actually kind of like him. The Scarlet scheme is recognizable without being slightly garish, and goggles are a nice touch. I like the expressive hat on him. Definitely fits a slightly steampunk sort of thing. If I had to be a cynic and say maybe adding a little more in steampunk elements would be nice. He has dials and the like, but all in all, it works fine by me. What can I say about Nifty that... Actually, what can I say about her? Seriously, anyone got takers? She's a freak and a gremlin, all those cutesy chaotic terms you see people put in their bios to stand out, but she's also nothing else, really. She has no character besides comic relief and no purpose aside from murder and vaguely sexual innuendos. Then you start to realize that this is marketable. She was never meant to be anything else. Her name's not Nifty, unless it's used to describe the plushie she'll be made into, $79.99. I straight up have nothing to say about it, design or character. Both fit, I guess? Editor, anything?
I'm gonna make you take this 12-inch dick.
Oh boy, this asshole. Static Brains here got more fan service than a Resident Evil modding community, and I ain't just talking the outfits. This show is asking, begging you to think Alistair's the coolest motherfucker on this side of the goddamn planet, doing everything shy of overtly just telling us how powerful it is. Oh wait, they do tell us overtly. Ain't that wacky, Josuke? Sorry, a bug flew into my brain cavity. Look, just while Pentious had the issue of being no W's, Alistair has the opposite issue. Only one single L in the entire show's runtime. He fucking heals up from it like nothing else. In fact, despite an offhanded comment from Carmilla, he gets no fucking backtalk. He can't smack down like a pimp to a broad. Alistair was clearly made out to be scarier than he actually is, and I don't just say that by the concept that he ain't got the potential. He's He's got a list of Tumblr OC spooky powers that I don't really know the extent of. He's got a neat sort of radio voice and a suave charm masking the evil inside, and I personally like the way the radio effects clash with him. A laugh track plays when he laughs, static and warping effects play when he's pissed. Shit works. But the show does one big mistake with him, and you and I both know it. They try too fucking much with him. Instead of making his power more mysterious and his presence more shadowy and secretive, they thrust him into the spotlight with a cane and a top hat and tell him to dance. While it works in the short term, we start to get sick of the same song and dance pretty fucking quick. The Scary Face Syndrome is the best example I can think of. It's in damn near every episode. Alistair says something vaguely threatening, macabre, or coercive, and he'll just overdo the shit out of the spooky visuals, symbols, and the damn smile. It's fine to have an intimidating character hold an expression to match, or a mean mug and a scowl that mock him as getting serious. But it's an art. Just like swearing, you can't use it too much, otherwise it'll lose all its meaning. And to be true, he does do pretty well on all fronts in the swearing part. He barely swears, so when he does, it feels really impactful. Episode 3 was my favorite part with him, because it gave him a little extra mystique and also showed us his reaction to the bigger fish in a different, more subtle way. None of this expository bullcrap and none of his fan service to boot. Me and my editor, we both had the idea of how to fix him. It's a pretty simple one. Get him out of the limelight. Put my guy to the back, the shadows. Have him be an announcer, a radio voice, a narrator, and a shadowy hand never fully in view. As well as that, play a bit heavy on sound and music, cue to mark his presence rather than the 6,000 garish overdone scary faces. Yep, I got a track to play on the records to give an example. First 10 seconds of From Camaraderie to Sustenance by Calhousie 13. What's any of that, you rightfully ask? Well, let's take a listen and contrast some visuals here. Presence. It's all about framing and impression, and with the right mix you can do a world of wonders with it. Thanks, editor. Anyhow, design-wise, the whole thing is alright for the most part. Only issue is I don't think he fits the idea for a disarmingly charming radio host. Giving him a standard body type, maybe evening out the suit to be more square-padded designs, and making his face more approachable structurally would work just fine here. My editor suggested making his teeth less of actual teeth and more like a radio waveform. He never exactly opened his mouth so much as his smile would be like watching radio waves. They'd usually be triangular, but they'd move a little as they talk. Or if you want to keep them out, then have him only do the waveform thing when he gets pissed. Speaking of pissed, his pissed off form or general spooky form ain't working much for you either. Just making him taller and more lanky feels boring and like more of a cop-out. The antlers and the radio dials are a nice touch, but man, he really needs something more. Making the antlers shaped like a radio antenna, making the hair disappear in favor of a shadowy mane. Maybe altering the suit a little bit so it's just the same thing. It's something else. And take out some of the useless motifs, would ya? Stitching doesn't fit in with the mouth area, neither does his voodoo symbolism and the lime green shit. I know you watch Disney, but we're cutting from another cloth here. Big man himself. You guys have heard of plot convenience? Well, not a fucking worry, ladies and gentlemen. He lays it out dead on for us. This guy basically just becomes whatever the plot needs of him after his debut. His initial role was a hesitant and distant but well-meaning dad. It's nice and all, but in his attempt to not get Charlie hurt while decrying a dream is a subject rife with more conflict that really could use exploring. But the main issue, it gets resolved in the episode he's introduced in. And this doesn't just fuck over White Boy here, it smacks down Charlie's conflict too. Remember her daddy issues? Her crushing familial disjoint from love that made her externalize her desire to help other people so she didn't need to internalize her inner... Who the hell am I kidding? No need to care. Poof, done, solved. Fuck, therapy's easy when you can rig the game, isn't it? So without any conflict to bank off of, Lucifer turns into the plot button. Need a ticket to heaven? Plot button. Losing a battle? Plot button. Hotel broke in the battle? Well, you better keep pressing that fucking button. Because of all this, Lucifer feels less like a character and more like a puppet, with Vivian's hand jammed right up their big tent and honking the red nose. Instead of this, why don't we make Lucifer a flaky dad? Wants to show love, but can't in any long-term way. Make him nice on the surface level and agree to Charlie's request probably way too quickly. But a bit passes and he's dead silent. Then Charlie can confront him directly for once after some encouragement and we can have a bigger falling out. Lucifer can relent the meeting, but say some off-color fixins and make Charlie heartbroken but determined. This can make that rejection thing all the more potent while keeping that tension and drama. It also makes his appearance from the last episode a lot more of a draw because, you know, he'd shaped as an unreliable asset. Then afterwards, he gives a half-hearted apology, says he needs to do some thinking, and gives her his blessing. That way it also, you know, removes the biggest heavy hitter from Season 2 for you to work around. Anyhow, I actually like Lucifer's design, all things considered. It's a little too cutesy, in my opinion, for the Lord of Hell, but considering Charlie and how she looks, I'd say the apple don't fall too far from the tree. Pun accidental. Their angel form, though, is a different story. Angel, demon, who cares? They all say the fuck word anyway. Yeah, it's good, I guess, but I just feel like for the big man Lucifer himself, you're gonna want some more bang for your buck, right? Wings are a good touch, but I feel like it needs more secret sauce for the Krabby Patty formula here. This sap has some of those potential to be somebody, and that's why his existence pisses me off. The first intro we get of him basically shows him to be a charismatic con-man business mogul. Talk Mr. House, mixed over with Handsome Jack. Hell, his first introduction actually marks him up well. The echoing call of, it works so well to solidify him. Paired up with the fact that he's clearly the one running the place, even one way or another, and the fact that he can sway people like a breeze, and we have reason to believe he'll be a more prominent antagonist. From the moment State Gone happens, the Alistair effect kicks in, and he triggers his I have to win in every music track effect, and it immediately makes Fox look weak. Then after that, he turns into a glorified reaction channel, just watching events go down, all antagonistic-like. The end result makes Vox feel like a borderline child by the end, who just has a hate bone of Alistair rather than a deeper character with a deeper vendetta to match. Vox feels like a prime example for the show's wasted potential due to a factor that I've noticed in the show. Esmond Hotel fucking loves the front load characters. What, you want subtlety? Eat shit, fucko! How about we introduce a new character in almost every single episode to do the grand equivalent of fuck nothing with them? If instead we had a chance to see Vox's effect on the world, maybe all those products he sells and how deep he's tied into the infrastructure of this place, we could see his intellect in full display. Better yet, you can make him an overlord with not a lot of actual power in the physical sense. A weaker guy when it comes to his scrap, but his intelligence makes him a powerhouse in consolidating and keeping both power and popularity. It could be why Alistair almost killed him a few years ago, apparently. And it'd be a unique take instead of all these hyper-powerful SOBs we see around the place. As a design, I think he's got a neat concept going on. Antenna, Wi-Fi signal, some kind of circuit-style design in his jacket, it works out. He's also the only guy I think these stupid little triangle shoulders works with, so bully for him. I think they could stand to get a little more creative with the circuitry though, like have the pinstripes move like circuit patterns, and maybe do something different with whatever his undershirt thing is. Might have made a really neat point in the fact that you could have different expressions with his TV face, like an eye where he's more intense, so maybe you can play certain clips or stock footage to highlight parts of his mood or tone. Also, can we please stop with the bow ties? Fuck me. Now, I'm gonna say something a little controversial. Apparently speaking. I like Valentino. No, this does not mean I support his actions. We're grown adults, and we can separate the character portrayal and support of what the character does in show. Get your head on straight, Slick. Now, all things considered, I like the guy. He plays a specific role in the story and world, and while he only really means something to one character, he still impacts the greatest stage. His ability to switch on a dime makes him unpredictable and daunting, and he still has a couple of entertaining moments here and there to balance it out too. But there are a couple of gripes I got on with him though. For starters, I really don't care too much for his intro. Whereas Vox comes off as suave, capable, and able to manipulate people well, having Valentino as a petulant brat who needs to be condescended to in order to quell his outbursts makes the fear factor really lower down some. At the very least, if we switched the order of scenes in episode 2 and had the voicemail scene first, we could make things a little more prominent there. Ideally though, for me, would have episode 4 come down beforehand in order to introduce him that way. Imagine how much more it'd impact us if we introduced to him acting like a genuine chokehold for Angel. I literally caught his grasp every working day and forced to bend to his whims, you know, in every way, including the ones not safe for channel, am I right? Another thing is basically how he gets treated after the good episode. Since Angel pretty much flips on his head the moment the episode concludes, he finds he can stand up to Val like it's nothing. And this kind of things makes him look less threatening. You want a fear factor with him specifically because of the topics the fucker represents, right? Keep the aura about him. Make him your lingering demon that Angel has to slowly grow and develop from, and then it'll make that eventual stick to the man scene actually mean more in the long run. Win-win. Design for Mal, in my opinion, is pretty much a dead spit. A good mix between personal and fearsome in the right compartments. The pimp work looks pretty well for him. As is the hot motif he got. The long cigar matching his powers actually really makes the uniqueness of him pop too. The thing I'd really mark is I feel like he needs something for his actual face and head area. They're going for a moth thing, I think. Maybe some features there would suffice, or hell, work with that effeminate nature, maybe give him some red eyeliner, just to add some flair. But hey, if it ain't broke, right? And who could forget Adam? A frat boy, a trust fund kitty, master of all dicks, original dick. Can we get some character development here too, buddy? A background lore, personality, hell with it. Nothing but dicks, ready. Penis and cock. It's your mother's favorite cereal. Oops, all dicks. I get the idea of making him crude and a bit of a rocker boy, and for the most part he's a really fun guy to see on screen, but I feel like we don't get much to see under the hood for him. Well, some people call that a feature, not a bug. I call it a whiskey on the rocks with the glass missing. There's clearly something off here. We saw a glimpse into his deepest self about 4 seconds before he was Londoned, which makes me a little curious to see what his life is like. Not only a 6-page essay with references, but I'm curious what actually makes him this way. Is he constantly praised and called a saint by all the other angels? Maybe the people on Earth give him power through faith. What's the go here? I think that just seeing a hint of that could make that more desperate monologue at the end more interesting. Overall, I guess he fits what the character was supposed to be, and I don't really have too many notes apart from maybe toning down the King Dick down by 20% and giving some actual say on current events. But otherwise, I don't have too much dirt to sling. His design's nice, feels a bit like a jester in a weird way. Plus, I feel like he'd definitely be the kind of asshole to have his own first letter on his chest. I'm going a long time, so we're gonna do a lightning round now. She's cool for the most part, but she doesn't really add much to the greater narrative outside of dunking on the overlords and peacing out. What gives? Why not give her a more fluid role? Have her influence get in the way of the has-been hotel, have her bad-mouthed it to the point of it, getting a worse track record, maybe make her an enemy of Charlie as time progresses. Her designs are fun though. I like that she's always changing as a fashion guru, and she's fun when she's on screen, so I can't complain.
Es la hora de tu destrucción. No habla español.
War profiteering and allowing mass genocide, but that's okay, because step on me tall Latina mommy or something. She's got the most confusing morals I ever seen, and it annoys me. Surely someone as smart as her would know that keeping the information out of all this stuff from people ain't gonna end well for anyone, right? As Velvet actually puts it.
Why are you avoiding war? That's what the guns you sell are for.
Best case scenario, you can slaughter these punks where they stand. Worst case, you've armed all of hell anyway. They'll stand a better chance as it is. Apart from that, her design is actually quite nice. The black and white angled look gives her ferocity and a strange semblance of guile and poise to her, being a dancer, of course. I don't like that she walks like a Strider from Half-Life 2, though. And also, what the fuck is her hair? Is she from Hollow Knight? What game you playing on me? Okay, let me look at Limsey from a little more objective lens here.
Who the fuck was this woman? She shows up, exposition dumps, gets rejected once, and leaves. And we're supposed to care because she was maybe in a pilot once? This isn't Star Wars, you can't just mindlessly key jangle like that. You don't have a second season! Well, now you do, but fuck you anyway. She's my and Lem's least favorite character by a wide margin, and it ain't close. She does nothing. She adds nothing that can't be added more tastefully. And her entrance practically acts like it deserves applause. Her design is fine, I guess, but it's on brand for her background and it looks alright too. It just suffers from what the fuck am I even looking at, like angel dust. God knows we need another short and stocky character in this lineup of twigs, though. There's more twinks than any VR chat club could dream of. Equally as sexualized, by the way. All of this further compounded by her voice. It makes me just want to... My headphones.
Okay, last time I leave my goddamn office door unlocked during recording. Right, what are we doing? Oh, right, Cherry Bomb. She came as a late addition to the party, so I can't say much for her character. Whether she was meant to come across as a negative influence and nothing else, I'm not too sure about, but so far I've got no strong feelings one way or the other. She's kind of fun, and she definitely matches Angel's style of posse, plus I do kind of like a dynamic with Pensius in one way or the other. The design's fairly good for that kind of anarchist street punk concept, though I'm not too sure what's going on with the mismatched boots here. I get the idea of it being all non-conformative, but maybe at least change the heel with a combat boot or something. Also, what the hell are these breast cancer loops on the right arm? What? That's what they look like!
Bitch, I eat people!
This one's a short one. That's because I really have nothing to say about Rosie. She's nice. I like her. She plays a good character, teaches a good lesson, she's a bubbly but slightly dangerous flair to her, and she makes a killer arm souffle, I'm sure. And hell, her design's on point too. No notes. Great character. Aside from being comically evil and strict, I don't really have much to say about Lute. She feels like a nothing character. You can replace her with any of the other exorcists and you'd be just fine with it too. Does that mean anything? Are they just like that? She sees old Adam as the superior, but is always with him. A bodyguard, maybe? Hard to say. Her design's nice on the surface, though I still don't buy this as an angel. Her halo is fucking black, for God's sakes. Can you be more overt? The wisest of the angels who don't know how the fuck to get in heaven. Wow, great. There's two of these people, and they both seem to be about as lost as each other. Sarah's the more protective and wise one, but so far every decision they've made has been fucking stupid. Emily just jumps on the bandwagon immediately, but despite most likely being conditioned on anti-demon rhetoric for the past age. They don't act smart, they don't act like a seraphim. So they're just tools, like a lot of the characters here. The design's okay. I like Sarah's a lot more personally. Emily just looks a bit too much like a kid to be doing this kind of song and dance. Also, she's a marketable plushie, the sequel.
Your Jordans are fake.
For the oldest overlord, and one of the biggest hitters going down here, Zestial's kind of a bitch. He's hyped up way too fucking much. He's a mean mugging motherfucker, but he has the easiest chance to show a punk creeping on his turf that he don't play in round and he does nothing. Feels like a cardboard cutout, and I genuinely think they should have cut him. Replace him with Rosie, have her greet Alistair and take him in, have Camilla get pissy at Velvet just for being a hashtag bitch, right? Design isn't too bad. I think the patchwork kind of fits the Scarecrow aesthetic they have, though I think they need a bit more of a ragged look to pull it off. Maybe something across the back too, to add to this sort of aesthetic. Or if we're going spider-like, having a nest of folded up legs along the back that maybe curl up like a rib cage would be neat. And maybe you could actually get them to use the fucking things too and be less willing to lay down and take shit. You act like Biden after chocolate chip withdrawal. Alright, think I'm done. Yeah. At least with the characters that matter more than the Scarab. A lot of good character potential squared away under a whole mountain of cheap one-trick ponies and wasted time. Here's a roster that's way too overbloated, with way too many people doing way too much and ended up with jack shit for the endpoint. And you know what makes you kind of feel hollow? It's like looking at a painting with a giant hole torn through the center. There's a whole lot of potential for this to be great, but fuck, there's a void where that potential's going and you filled it with just too much. Counting up all the characters mentioned, discounting nothing characters like the eggs, we come to a grand total of 20 characters for one 28 season. All I can say is cool your fucking jets. You'll only be better if you have this number. That gives us a good chunk more time to flesh our original cast out some. And yeah, I know a good chunk of that is side characters, but I don't give two shits. Clean up the damn cast. It's a mess and it's giving the painting way too much shit to have to show to the viewer. So, plot's rough, world building's rubble, themes are neat but underutilized, and the characters about as deep as paper cut. But hey, this is a musical. Musical numbers are the big points in advancing narrative and exploring the world past standard storytelling. So, how's our track numbers looking? Every episode of Hazbin Hotel has 2 music numbers, however long or short. That's 16 tracks to look over. I ain't gonna run through a laundry list of each of the pieces here, but I am gonna run through a general overview of all of them, because for the most things here, I got mixed feelings. Some of them are really good, some of them don't do jack for the plot. Yeah, that's right, plot. A musical doesn't just put in songs for the sake of songs. Not a good one, anyway. Musicals use songs to push the plot forward, to showcase character more, and to bring world building to a greater light. So I'm gonna judge each track on 3 aspects: emotional resonance, lyrics and tempo, and story significance. I'll leave the fancy pants sound design talk to someone with more of a brain than this old sap. Sound good? I'll run them down quick then. Happy Day in Hell is our first, sort of like Charlie's I Am song. One of those songs that showcase a character's place and want. Also brings life to hell. Its placement and presence there too. Emotionally it makes sense, it's hopeful enough, though it's juxtaposed a lot with the other singers for various reasons. Unfortunately that means the lyrics and tempo kind of feel a little stilted and off, but gets points for story significance. Showing us a lot in the time we get here, so we'll give it 1.5 out of 3 points.
Hell is forever, whether you like it or not.
I'm a sucker for a pal ballad, I'll admit, but I'll try not to be too biased here. Hell is Forever is a pretty decent villain song, despite it being so peppy, or maybe because of it. I definitely get how Adam can be in a band now, it tells you. Emotionally, it doesn't really give us much in terms of sympathy for Charlie, but that's mainly because we're fucking grooving out the big man's tunes here. Lyrics and tempo are actually quite well done, all things considered. It's all paced real well and not too segmented, too. It does have a little plot significance there, too. Reveals the angels are the bad guys and sets the deadline going. 2 out of 3 points.
I'm gonna make you wish that you'd stayed gone.
Aw yeah, it's everyone's favorite. And I get why. The music and lyrics are a beautiful mix, and the real peppy sound of piano and trumpets makes it a damn treat for the ears. The song is both Vox and Alistair's big intro piece here, setting up their rivalry, or trying to. Emotionally, it pulls you into the rivalry pretty nice. That ending segment with Alistair does give you some level of intrigue and tension to pull through. I don't need to say nothing for the lyrics and tempo, just listen to it on YouTube, your damn self. Treat yourself. Plot significance, though, is where I draw it down. Before the track, Vox knows Alistair is back and wants to stop him, and after, he knows the same. So, unfortunately, this is a 2 out of 3. Still a top track, though.
It starts with sorry.
This one's a sweet song. Simple, with a nice message to share. I'm a little torn between it, though. It seems like another one of Charlie's belief songs, which for the moment kind of makes sense, though it is sort of a hashed in with another Pentious I want thing. Resonance is a tick, seeing as that makes us want to root for Pentious, so you didn't need to tell me twice. Tempo and lyrics I think are fine, not amazing, but it's a quicker one, so it really don't need to be. I'll give it half though. I suppose plot-wise it fleshes Charlie out and gives Pentious a reason not to be mounted on the wall, so it works out. 1.5 out of 3. Not bad. This one's one of the weakest in terms of musicals, a damn shame since I kinda like it a little. Maybe just for Velvet being kinda fun. Where I'm sitting, it's supposed to be setting the V's up as the new up-and-comings while also setting some intrigue. Issue is that the intrigue is solved in the next track. Emotionally, it does nothing for us. We don't get much of anything from this aside from like some kind of small argument. Lyrics and tempo are pretty fine, but I think Carmilla's guitar just doesn't match with Velvet's synth beat. At least not the way they do it. They got nothing for plot, really. Carmilla killed the angel, wow. But, you know, we can get that easy anyway with some subtlety. So all up, 0.5 out of 3. Good song, not a good musical piece. Knowing Carmilla's motives from episode 7, this song annoys me. It's Carmilla and Vaggy's sort of, here's my motivation song. And emotionally, it does its job for sure. We get an idea for Vaggy and Carmilla's motivations and feel for them some when doing it. Tempo lyrics make us feel all over the place, though. Carmilla screams her goddamn lyrics, and not in the way it makes it resonant, and Vaggy is just a whole different voice in this one. And the plot significance is, Vaggy loves Charlie, and Carmilla loves her kids, so I'll give it half a point since we get a bit more reason behind the angel dying, but this gets a 1 out of 3. Not the best they got, even though I do like Vaggy's segment. This track definitely sounds pretty nice to mix up for an I Am song and a villain track to a degree, and it feels like a good mix-up to what we got before. Emotionally, I think it's a bit mixed, and definitely is supposed to be bad spirits, but it's offset by the audio visuals going on, so I'll give it a half. Lyrics and tone are actually pretty dead-on and really well placed, and I really like the ending verse in a bit of a feverish withdrawal. Just wish I saw a little more of that. And of course, significance is there. World building and character building. For Angel's episode, that's pretty good storytelling going on. All in all, 2.5 out of 3. Rock solid.
You're a loser, baby.
A lot of people like this one, and I don't mind it too. It certainly is a good track with a neat message that you don't see too much. Emotionally, it's a pretty big rocket. And it does hook people into it. And the lyrics pretty easily fit the bill here too. As for plot significance, it gets half. Technically it does turn Angel 180 into a decent guy with no huge issues, but it shouldn't. Music advances plot, but it ain't a magic spell. We also need a little more discussion to top it. Still, 2 out of 3, pretty good stuff.
From the big boss of hell himself.
This one feels like Stayed Gone at Home, which seems about right for episode 5. Seems like a sort of emotional battle between two OP fuckers that really don't have much reason fighting at all. Emotional resonance is out the window, really. I don't feel anything watching this, and I don't think people I know did either. The lyrics and tone started great, but then drifted off like a dementia patient's incoherence, getting worse when Mimsy shows a stupid face. And plot-wise, nothing. No dice. This Ferrari came in to help technically, so what's this for? 0.5 out of 3. Swing and a fucking miss.
More than anything.
This one's definitely, easily the better of the two. Clearly it's the better sort of pair bonding track compared to the other one. It's gentler and feels way more resonant for the character singing it. Emotionally, this track is a powerhouse. I ain't afraid to admit it gave me a twinge at the cold, dead heart. And the lyrics and tone really do fit into play here just the same. Cohesive and sweet with no weird jolts. And it even fits nice as a plot beat too, since Daddy Lucifer's swung to the winning side. And the daddy issues are healed, even though I still think that's a bad call. But hey, 3 out of 3. Hands up, darling. This really has nothing much going for it, so let's make it quick. It's almost just sort of a brief snippet of what heaven's like, and that's pretty much it. Emotionally, nothing really. It's heaven, yippee. Lyrics are pretty generic, so, you know, they work technically, and the plot gains nothing from this. It feels like a quota buffer, so it's a 1 out of 3. Not great. I don't really know what to think about this one. It works as a conflict track, and a lot goes into it to make it so, but I feel like the thing is as emotionally resonant as it could be. Lyrics are fine, but the tone is a little bit all over the place. There's a lot of mixed pacing that I guess does work most of the time, so jury's out here. I'll give the point anyway. And plot, oh boy, there's a lot here. Definitely takes a cake here without much is given to us, so 2.5 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 if you want to be conservative. But it's a good musical piece all around. Good for Act 2's close. This is a much better track for Carmilla than the first one, and it's really well combined with the choreography. This is Vaggy's sort of get your shit together track made for the final stretch. It does get you a little pumped up too, so there's good emotive lurking here. Tone and lyrics aren't incredible, but they work well for the song, and it does provide a little plot significance. Vaggy gets a pep, and Carmilla agrees to the weapons trade, so what the hell. 3 out of 3. Nice going.
I might have to be ready for this.
Here's Charlie's big inspirational speech, and it's definitely a good one that gets people ready, in and out of show. This whole thing is certainly built for the feeling of being an uplifting and optimistic sort of track. And the tone, though a tiny bit segmented, I feel like they made it smooth enough so it really don't do anything too bad to lose the point. Plus the lyrics are pretty nice too. And well, it does get a lot of the plot going by convincing the whole ass cannibal town to fight, so hey there, another 3 out of 3. But there isn't much to say here. I think this is perfectly fitting as a mini track for the two embracing lovers. It's small, but it has a lot of emotion in it. The lyrics and tone alter just a little bit to be a little gentler and more intimate. While you can argue it doesn't really do much for a plot, sometimes just calming the nerves and sharing a moment of bonding before a fight is good enough. Plus, it's not like it's eating too much time code. 3 out of 3 again. Killing it so far.
The show, it must go on.
And lastly, the finale. It's to send off Season 1 and set up Season 2, and again, it's not a bad way to do it. Optimism is the name of the game again, and alongside a little bit of camaraderie to boot. The tone is quite the peppy one, even between the V's, which I think kinda gets undercut by Alice's spooky moment, which is a damn shame, and come on, plot is a definite occurrence. That hotel looks like a goddamn casino, and the gang's all back together like nothing. So while the finale is a 2 out of 3, the music definitely feels like the good send-off regardless.
Holy moly, a blizzard of
red.
How will we cope with
Editor, how are your eyes? A little side mention, but holy shit, the color palette, it's fucking strawberry ice cream with Twinkies and raspberry flavored semen. That's it. What's that? You want green? You want fucking purple in this color palette? Fuck you. You want blue? You get one character with blue, and he's in the show about as much as your father was in your life. Those pink and red is a damn cognito hazard to the retinas. Editor's still in the hospital suffering from retinal bleeding, goddammit. Do you know how expensive kidnapping these fuckers are? So there you have it. I've talked way too fucking long about this goddamn show, holy shit. But hey, I hope I give my 2 cents on why the show has quite a list of positives as well as the negatives. I could go on and on about stuff like reworking the script, chatting about the fanbase, or general tone changes that could have been peppered in, but you know what? You get the idea. The show is a treasure trove of missed potential, and I think that's the worst part of it all. When you get something as bad as, say, War of the Worlds, Rise of Skywalker, the whole Snyderverse, and you start to get used to the idea that they don't have anything to give to you. That they were just a paycheck with nothing in mind besides it. But this project, you call it what you wanna, but I ain't gonna call it soulless. Beyond the bad, beyond the terrible, beyond the muck and the mire and the sex and dick jokes, there was effort in this one. And that's the sad part. When something with so much moxie and creative juice is tossed into a dish and still comes cold, it hurts me a lot than just a standard shitty flick. It hurts more. Because instead of the sound of boos and jeers, there's silence. And that kind of feels more than most. Now, initially I wanted to make this one just in time for Season 2 to drop, but I got a feeling that won't be happening. So if we're a little late, sorry about that. This was a hell of a time crunch, and I wanted to give my editor all the time he needs to finish this one up after all that retinal bleeding. Just know that we made this with Season 1 only in mind, got it? Will we be doing the same critique to that season? Maybe. You'll just have to subscribe, won't you, Slick? Hope you enjoyed the video. I've been taking a little time to plan out a few different topics and video ideas for the future, and I want to keep doing this kind of thing, so stick around if you like what you've been seeing. It'll be swell to have you on the case. But until then, I hope you've enjoyed my little investigation, and I'll catch you on the scene. Now scram.